Chapter 438. Guopai spent some time circling around the island. Originally, he wanted to take a good look at what was on the island, but later, he gave up. Looking at the small island, there were traps everywhere. He really didn't know how the owner of this island did it. Even a nascent soul expert would die on such a small island if they were not careful. Fill your stomach first, it's hard to escape the tribulation. The ancients really didn't deceive me, Guopai said with a smile. If there was a tribulation, there was no way to avoid it. However, he was most worried about little Ling Mo looking at the jade pendant in his hand. At least little Ling Mo was fine for now. This is really fun. I didn't expect the sea to be so fun. No, when I return to Huaxia, I'll have to come out to the sea to play once a month. Guopai's worry was indeed unnecessary. Little Ling Mo was galloping on the surface of the sea while stepping on a killer whale. That's right, there was indeed a killer whale under his feet. The little girl seemed to have completely bribed this big fellow with just a pill from a jade bottle. However, Mo Bifong's situation was much worse than little Ling Mo's. He fell from the sky into the sea. Fortunately, his cultivation was at the late Xiantian realm. Otherwise, just the umbrella on his body would have taken his life. Now, Mo Beifong was riding on a piece of wood that floated out of nowhere. He looked helplessly at the endless sea, and his heart began to feel nervous. Damn it, why did I have to mess around in Italy? This is retribution, this is retribution. Mo Beifong shook his head and shouted loudly. Where was he now? He didn't know what to do next. He didn't know if anyone would come to save him. He also didn't know. The only thing he could do now was to resign himself to fate. Guopao found a clean place on the island and took out a 9-winged magical tiger's thigh from the gourd. He started a fire and roasted it. Now, he wasn't worried about people recognizing the 9-winged magical tiger's thigh meat. If I don't have anything to worry about, cultivating here for 1,000 years is really a good choice, Guopai said softly as he roasted the tiger's thigh. In the past, before he ascended to the heavenly realm, he would usually find a place like this and go into seclusion for 1,000 years. But now, he didn't want to waste his time in the mortal world like this. Ji. Just as Guopao was about to eat the meat, a small monkey appeared not far from him. Guopao was stunned. This was the first living thing he had seen on the island. He had walked in such a big circle, but he hadn't found this small monkey. He didn't expect that his roast meat would attract a monkey. If you want to eat, then come over and make it yourself. I don't have time to serve you, Guopai said to the little monkey with a smile. The little monkey wasn't timid. With a whoosh, it rushed in front of Guopai and directly tore off a piece of oily thigh meat from the roasted tiger's thigh. It sat in front of Guopai and began to eat. It should be a spirit beast raised by the previous owner of the island. AI, it's really pitiful. In fact, cultivators shouldn't raise spirit beast. When they ascended to the heavenly realm or went to other places, they ended up trapping their own spirit beast. Guopai said softly. The little monkey seemed to understand and nodded its head. Then, it tore off another piece of tiger's meat and began to eat. Guopai couldn't help but bring out 2 wine bowls. He filled them with wine and handed them to the little monkey. The little monkey didn't hesitate and took the bowl and drank it all. Then, it handed the bowl back to Guopai and looked at Guopai expectantly. Haha, interesting. Today, I will drink to my heart's content with you, Fataba. After saying that, he poured the wine into both bowls. The man and the monkey enjoyed the wine very much. An hour later, the little monkey no longer had any scruples about Guopai. It sat on Guopai's lap with a relaxed look. Guopai reached out and patted the little monkey's head. A familiar aura rushed into his mind. 6-eared macaque. This little guy has the aura of the 6-eared macaque. Guopai was shocked. Who was the 6-eared macaque? It was the guy who fought Sun Wukong for 300 rounds. After Han Sun ascended to the heavenly realm, the great sage told him about the 6-eared macaque. Now, he could clearly feel the blood of the six-eared macaque. In the universe, there are 5 immortals. They are heaven, earth, God, man, and ghost. There are 5 bugs. There are also the 4 monkeys. They are the smart stone monkey, red bone horse monkey, long-armed ape monkey, and six-eared macaque. They are not heaven, earth, God, man, or ghost. They are not heaven, earth, God, man, or ghost. They are not heaven, earth, God, man, or ghost. They are not heaven, earth, God, man, or ghost. Guopai recalled that the great sage had told him about the 4 monkeys. However, he had never heard of the 4 monkeys having a bloodline inheritance. But what was going on with this little monkey? The more Guopai thought about it, the more curious he became. Perhaps he could only wait until he left the island to bring the little guy out. He could ask Master Shui Yunzi if he knew what was going on. If he didn't know, then he could only wait until he ascended to the heavenly realm and ask the great sage. Guopai even thought about it evilly. Did the great sage have a bloodline inheritance in the mortal world? If so, how did he pass it down? This is so infuriating. That damn true monarch mind reading, he actually. Sun Wukong had saved Chen Qingyuan back in the heavenly stream and planted a trace of his divine sense in Chen Qingyuan's body. Now, everything that Guopai was thinking about was transmitted to Sun Wukong's mind. The monkey was furious. When had he ever been slandered like this? Brother monkey, what's wrong? Which blind fellow made you so angry? Ba Jie couldn't help but ask when he saw his eldest senior brother scratching his head. How is that possible? Haha, interesting, interesting. Turns out that someone is playing a big game of chess. What does this have to do with me? I'd better go back to the mountain of flowers and fruit and have a good time with the monkeys. After saying that, the monkey flashed and disappeared from the mansion of the envoy of the pure altar. Chess? What kind of chess? It's none of your business, and it has nothing to do with this old pig. Time to sleep. After saying that, Ba Jie's snores could be heard from the envoy's residence. Guopai naturally didn't know about the matter between the great sage and his second senior brother. At this time, Guopai followed the little monkey and arrived at a residence on the island. Cloudfire Cave. The 3 words appeared on the gate of the residence. Guopai could clearly sense a small formation. Cloudfire Cave? Whose residence is this? With that thought in mind, Guopao sent his divine sense into the spell formation. After about an hour, the spell formation was broken. The door, which had been sealed for an unknown period of time, slowly opened, and a statue appeared before Guopao's eyes. I'm rich. True monarch Cloudfire, this is actually his residence before he ascended. I remember him saying that he didn't bring anything when he ascended to the heavenly realm and left everything in the human realm. He regretted it so much. There must be a lot of good things in here. Guopai looked at the statue in front of him and couldn't help but think to himself. Since I've entered true monarch Cloudfire's residence, then it must be fate. However, the things in here are all mine, Guopai. Guopai said softly to the statue with a smile. However, as soon as he said that, Guopai couldn't help but take a step back. The statue moved slightly and Guopai's complacent expression disappeared. Chapter 439. Brother Yunhua, I didn't mean to offend you. Today I came to your place by chance. If you have left your divine sense in the mansion, why don't you come out and meet me? Guopai said softly. However, there was no aura in the entire mansion except for him and the little monkey. Almost half an hour later, the little monkey didn't know why the good man in front of him suddenly stopped. He stood still behind Guopai until Guopai withdrew his gaze from the statue. Then, the little monkey started to squeak. Could it be that I'm hallucinating because of the recent torment? Since true monarch Cloudfire is not here, I'll stay in this mansion for now. Guopai said to himself. He walked around the statue and went to the living room. He waved his hand and the dusty candlestick lit up again. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The little monkey arrived in front of Guopao with a whooshing sound. It held a long sword in its hand and handed it to Guopao. Guopao took the long sword and nodded slightly. This is Master Yunhua's sword. It is a pity that I was not born in the same era as Master Yunhua. Otherwise, I would have seen the power of this sword. Guopai played with the long sword and said softly. He had heard some things about Master Yunhua when he was in the heavenly court. However, there were only 4 words about Master Yunhua. His temperament was eccentric. After staying in the mansion for 2 hours, the sky outside had already darkened. Guopai sat cross-legged and used his divine sense to perceive the movements in the entire fire cloud cave. Of course, Supreme Cloud Fire had said that countless heavenly materials and earthly treasures were in his mansion. If this was the last mansion of Supreme Cloud Fire, then these treasures would definitely be there. If this was just a temporary palace of Supreme Cloud Fire, then it would be hard to say whether or not these treasures would be of any good. The little monkey ate one of the pills Guopao gave him. He sat cross-legged on the floor and closed his eyes. Guopao couldn't help but sigh. The 6-eared macaque's blood pulse was not ordinary. It was no wonder the 6-eared macaque was able to fight the great sage. I am saved. It has been 7 days. Finally, there is hope. Guopai naturally didn't know what was going on outside. 1 day on the island was 7 days outside. As Guopai estimated, 7 days had almost made Mo Beifong collapse. At this time, a merchant ship appeared a kilometer away from Mo Beifong. Swim over. I must swim over. Mo Beifong said. He put the last pill in the jade bottle given by Guopai in his mouth, and swam quickly to the merchant ship like a fish. When he was 100 meters away from the merchant ship, the sailors on the merchant ship found Mo Beifong. Mo Beifong, who had been wandering at sea for 7 days and eating sashimi every day, was rescued on the merchant ship. Mo Beifong couldn't help but cry. Perhaps only after experiencing such things could one realize the value of life. No, I have to call back home. I don't know how Brother Guopai and Little Ling Mo are. After Mo Beifong ate something, he suddenly remembered the most important thing. Captain Regis, I need to use the satellite phone on our ship. When Jia Yuan received Mo Beifong's call, it was already 4:00 in the morning. Jia Yuan rushed over and cursed. However, when he found out that it was Mo Beifong, Jia Yuan no longer felt sleepy. It had been 7 days, and there was no news of Lao Si. Jia Yuan hadn't slept well for a week. Mo Lao Gu, tell me the location of your ship. Also, ask the captain for his account number. I will send him some money. Jia Yuan said softly. There was finally news of the 3 people. Although it wasn't Guopai, at least there was some information. Not long after Mo Beifong hung up the phone, several destroyers surrounded the fishing ship. Hua Xia's navy rushed to the location that Mo Beifong told Jia Yuan at the fastest speed. At first, the captain of the merchant ship was shocked. Later, when he found out that they were here to pick up Mo Beifong, he felt relieved. Grandpa Gua, at 4:00 in the morning, Commander Huang's men found Mo Beifong. It was Lao Si who told them that there would be an accident on the plane. Lao Si and Little Ling Mo jumped off the plane earlier than him. He is fine, so Lao Si and the little girl should be fine too. Grandpa Gua, you can rest assured. Mo Beifong will return to the capital around noon. If you ask him anything, you can ask him. Jia Yuan told Grandpa Gua about Mo Beifong at around 7:00 in the morning. Grandpa Gua was relieved. Anyway, there was finally news of the 3 people. Almost 3 days later, the little girl sat on the killer whale and met Hua Xia's navy. Under the stunned eyes of a group of people, Little Ling Mo boarded the warship. After saying goodbye to the killer whale reluctantly, she called her grandfather Nangong Mouse. Nothing. Why did you find me so quickly? I wanted to play at sea for a while. By the way, have you found Brother Bad Guy? No? Alas, Brother Bad Guy really knows how to play. I don't know where he is now. Let's not talk about it. I will fly back to the capital tomorrow. Little Ling Mo had no idea that the whole Huaxia had been in a mess during their disappearance. Nangong Mouse was even more speechless when he heard his granddaughter's words. She still had the mood to play at sea. 2 of the 3 missing people had been found, but the most important person could not be found. A whole month had passed, and Huaxia's navy still had no news of Guopai. However, under the persuasion of Yu Grandpa Gua contacted several generals to recall the navy back to the country, but left a few destroyers to continue the search in the Pacific Ocean. Sister Yu, is Guopai really okay? It's been more than a month. It's really worrying. Lin Shuang couldn't help but ask again when she saw Yu and little Ling Mo, who had woken up from meditation. It's okay. Didn't you see that Ling Mo is fine? And Mo Lao Gu is also fine. Brother Bad Guy was the first to sense the danger. How could he be fine? Maybe he found the Dragon King's mansion at sea and went to the Dragon Palace to seduce Xiaolongnu. Yu said with a smile. Lin Shuang nodded gently and couldn't help but touch her bulging belly. She hoped that Guopai was fine. At this time, Guopai had been meditating for 7 days. Just when his spiritual sense reached a hidden place in the mansion on the island, a powerful pressure fell on Guopai. Guopai spat out a mouthful of blood and then fainted. The little monkey didn't know what had happened and started to squeak. It wasn't until 3 days later that Guopai slowly woke up. He didn't have any strength in his body, and there was no trace of the Shudan that had been condensed. Guopai couldn't help but shake his head. He had been beaten down to the strength he had when he first arrived in the human world by the spiritual sense 3 days ago. It was impossible for him to leave the island now. It was impossible for him to break the formation with the strength of the late Xiantian realm. Great Devil, I didn't expect that there were 7 great devils trapped here. Are they the great devils that were trapped here by Lord Fire Cloud? Or is there something else? Guopai couldn't help but say to himself. Guopai originally thought that the treasure of Lord Firecloud was hidden in a hidden place in the Firecloud cave. When his spiritual sense reached in, his spiritual sense was injured by a powerful pressure. He only remembered that he saw 7 disgusting shadows in the end, and then he fainted. After staying on the island for more than 10 days, Guopai slowly broke through to the enlightened realm. He could take the medicinal pills that he had brought with him, and his injuries began to slowly recover. At this time, a big thing happened in Huaxia. Xianyuan Tingfei's second wife, Shui Xian, finally gave birth after being pregnant for 11 months. It was a 9-gene and 8-tails eldest son. However, he was sent to Bugyaku as soon as he was born. Xianyuan Tingfei had recently lost more than 10 gene due to anxiety. Third Prince, there are no outsiders, so you don't have to pretend. Guopai is probably trapped by something. You should cultivate well in Bugyaku these days. I have already told the Xianyuan family that you have to stay here for the next few years. Yu looked at a 1-month-old baby and said with a smile. The baby seemed to be able to understand her words and chuckled. Chapter 440. In the Fire Cloud Cave, Guopao sat on the main seat while the little monkey stood on his shoulder. It was as if he was the king of a mountain. The 6 big fellows below the stage were lying on the ground obediently. Futaba, are these the helpers you found? Guopai couldn't help but shake his head. There were 2 tigers, a black bear, a gorilla, a leopard, and a one-eyed wolf. The little monkey excitedly squeaked and nodded. Guopai walked to the front of the 6 big guys. Apart from being a little bigger, there didn't seem to be anything special about them. Yes, if these guys were placed in a zoo, they would be able to bite all the animals of the same species to death. This is a headache. I originally wanted to find a few helpers of similar strength. Even if their strength was average, they could be like little Futaba. They could also lay down a big formation with a little bit of blood in their body. Now, it's a little difficult to make these 6 guys follow me and lay down a formation. Guopai said to himself. After staying on the island for 3 months, Guopai's strength had already recovered to the peak of the fasting period. With the help of the little monkey, he finally found the collection of the Fire Cloud Taoist before he ascended. However, the formation outside the collection room gave Guopai a headache. After more than 10 days of research, Guopai finally found a way to break the formation. However, he needed a few helpers to guard the formation core. In these few days, Guopai naturally knew that there were other spirit beasts on the island besides him and Futaba. He simply asked Futaba to find a few helpers. Who knew that he would find these guys? I'll help you guys increase your strength first. I hope that you guys can help on the night of the full moon 7 days later. If you guys can really help this young master get the things in the treasure room, it's impossible to help you guys pass the transformation period. However, the benefits will definitely be great. Guopai said with a smile. It seemed that he would have to spend a lot of money recently. Big Tiger, don't worry. This time, it's not tiger meat. This time, I'm roasting dragon meat. If you don't eat it this time, I'm afraid you won't be able to eat it for the rest of your life. Guopai said loudly to the bigger tiger. Tiger 2, you ran in the wrong position just now. You should learn from Leopard 5, your speed is too slow. Gorilla 4, what are you laughing at? Do you think you did well? Wolf 6, give Gorilla 4 a demonstration. You're in charge of supervising it today. Guopai spent an entire day communicating with a group of spirit beasts, and at the cost of 12 pills, he made them completely obey his arrangements. Not bad. At this rate, we might be able to open up the treasure room in 6 days' time, Guopai said smilingly. Sir, what's in the treasure room? Futaba scratched his head and asked. Cough, cough, cough. Futaba, were you the one who spoke just now? You haven't passed the transformation stage, but you can speak already? Guopai was shocked when he heard Futaba's words. He stared at the little monkey in front of him with wide eyes. I don't know. After following you for a few days, I felt a sharp pain in my head last night, and I can speak now. Futaba only just realized how bizarre it was when it spoke just now. Guopai didn't know much either. It was probably due to the bloodline of the 6-eared macaque. Didn't the great sage Sun jump out from a crack in a rock and speak? Speaking of the transformation stage, it seemed like the great sage didn't deliberately transform into a human. 3 days later, Guopai called for the 6 spirit beasts to set up a formation for the first time. Although it failed in the end, the process was very satisfactory to Guopai. As for the full moon in 3 days, Guopai was looking forward to it. Futaba, give these pills to them. Tell them the key points of the formation so that they can understand it well. If they can break the formation in 3 days, they will be rewarded. Guopai smiled and handed the 6 pills to Futaba. Since Futaba could speak, Guopai could communicate with the spirit beasts more easily. The little monkey took the pills and distributed them to the 6 big guys. Then, it began to explain the subtleties of the formation to them. The 6 spirit beasts listened attentively. Guopai couldn't help but sigh. Sometimes, humans were inferior to beasts. Looking at the little monkey, he felt like a tiger in the mountains, but he was also the king. Guopai shook his head and smiled. On the night of the full moon, Guopai didn't let the 6 big guys continue to practice the formation during the day. At night, they were very energetic, especially Lang Lu. Perhaps because of the moonlight, a strange light appeared on Lang Lu's white fur. I forgot about this. Lang Lu, the moonlight today may awaken the hidden blood in your body. Although I don't know which witch's blood is in your body, if you can awaken it, then do it boldly. I will find a way to protect you in the formation, Guopai said softly. Lang Lu nodded its huge head. At midnight, the 6 spirit beasts stood in their respective positions. Futaba wasn't arranged to participate in the formation this time. It stood on the tallest tree and looked at the situation under the tree. Guopai shouted, "Set up the formation." The 6 spirit beasts surrounded Guopai, and the moonlight gradually gathered in the circle they formed. Guopai nodded slightly. The 7 days of effort hadn't been in vain. With the power of the moonlight, he could try to break the formation outside the treasure room. The 6 spirit beasts surrounded Guopai, and the moonlight covered their bodies. Guopai's fingers were constantly drawing all kinds of shapes in the air. Every time a shape was completed, the huge stone in front of the cave would move up a little. After about 2 hours, half of the stone had been moved, and Guopai could enter the gate. Lang Lu, don't suppress the awakening of your blood. Awaken it. This time, I will protect you even if I don't enter the treasure room. At the moment when Guopai was about to enter the treasure room, he suddenly felt a change in Lang Lu's body. One of his legs, which had stepped into the treasure room, was pulled out. Damn, Xiong-san, what's wrong with you? Could it be that the power of the moonlight has awakened the faint bloodline in your body? Guopai had just helped Lang Lu stabilize his mind when he felt the color of the large V on the chest of the nearly 3-meter-tall big fellow change. Roar! Xiong-san roared, and the 2 tigers beside him couldn't help but tremble. Endure it. It seems that true Lord Fire Cloud treated you guys well. Since you want to awaken, I will be a good person to the end. Hu De, Hu Er, Xing Si, Bao Wu, the 4 of you should endure it. Although you don't have the ancient blood essence in your body, I will give each of you some. Let's see if you can create some miracles. As Guopai spoke, 4 silver needles appeared in his hand, and he directly pierced the 4 big fellows. Then, a small jade bottle floated in the air, and the contents of the jade bottle slowly flowed out, entering the bodies of the 4 big fellows through the silver needles. Roar! 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 The 4 big fellows' reactions were more intense than Lang Lu and Xiong-san. It was conceivable that Xiong-san and Lang Lu had inherited the bloodline. The 4 of them were forcibly injected into their bodies by Guopai. It was more difficult for them to awaken the bloodline than Xiong-san and Lang Lu. Futaba, don't watch the show. Enter the treasure room first. You have followed true Lord Fire Cloud for the longest time. You should be able to distinguish between good and bad things. Choose a few things that are suitable for me. Remember, safety first. As soon as Guopai's voice fell, a gap opened in the array, and the little monkey flew into the treasure room, seizing the power of the heavens to awaken the bloodline of spirit beasts. How exciting! Chapter 441. The bloodline awakening of the 6 spirit beasts lasted for 2 hours. Because the array formation had already started operating, Guopao only needed to spend some energy to stabilize the array formation. Thus, he was able to relax. However, after another 2 hours, Guopao's face turned somewhat ugly. Originally, when the bloodline awakening of Tiger 2, Gorilla 4 and Leopard 5 was about to fail, unexpectedly, it was driven by the bloodline power of the other 3 spirit beasts and began to awaken again. This made Guopai faintly feel a trace of ominous omen. Rumble! Thunder rumbled in the sky. Guopai could not help but shrink his head. Bear 3 and Wolf 6 were the first to complete the bloodline awakening. They were no longer simple spirit beasts. If it was purely a competition of strength, they were comparable to the masters of the enlightening period. What's the meaning of this? Why don't you stop after the bloodline awakening? You are actually absorbing the power of heaven more fiercely. You are courting death. Guopai suddenly felt that more moonlight gathered in the array. Guopai could not help but shout loudly. At this time, the 6 spirit beasts had all completed the bloodline awakening. Futaba, come out quickly. I have something to say to these guys. They don't understand what I am saying. Guopai hurriedly shouted at the treasure room, but Futaba did not have any movement. Guopai was completely dumbfounded. Damn it, where's Monkey? Go and call Monkey-san over. I remember that before the mind-reading sage ascended to the heaven realm, he had always followed Monkey Sunday. After his ascension, Monkey-san also took good care of him. Didn't Monkey-san tell the mind-reading sage that he should stop using the heaven-seizing power? Above the Moon Palace, Chang'e shouted at Wu Gang. Boss, this matter has nothing to do with me. When I first started to practice, I told him to pay attention when using the power of heaven. Who knew that he would be so crazy today? Before Wu Gang went to find Sun Wukong had already appeared in the Moon Palace. He looked at the situation on Fire Cloud Island with a serious face. We can't hide it. We definitely can't hide it. That fellow must have found out. I wonder, will he care? Chang'e said, shaking her head. Suddenly, a coercive atmosphere of power descended upon the Moon Palace. Since you're here, then come out. He's one of my people. It's just some heaven-seizing power. That thing is useless to you. Why don't you just let this kid torment the human world once? Chang'e said with a smile. Fairy, your actions are a bit excessive. Since I've come here, I'm giving you face. You can deal with your own people. An old voice said to Chang'e, Humph, this is called giving me face. Old man Hongjun, are you going to continue watching me make a fool of myself? Chang'e shouted towards the void, and Hongjun ancestor also appeared in the Moon Palace. God, just because the human world calls you master, you really think you're master? Both of us have the power of the 18th layer heaven. Can't the two of us protect a kid in the human world? Hongjun, do you want to get involved in this matter? The old voice rang out again. I don't care. I don't care if he's not mine. However, I think I should give you face. Why don't I give you 2 more hours? If the 6 little fellows can successfully transform, it can be considered as their opportunity. How about it? Hongjun ancestor said with a smile. Then I'll give you face. 2 more hours it is. The old voice rang out again. Chang'e's face did not look good at all. Guopai naturally did not know what was going on in the Moon Palace. The 6 spirit beasts were going all out to attack the transformation stage. Guopai needed to invest more and more of his divine sense into the array formation. After about half an hour, Guopai had completely integrated himself into the array formation. The 6 spirit beasts could only succeed. Failure was not an option. Otherwise, even if Guopai did not die, he would be seriously injured. Bastard, you are willing to take such a big risk for a few beasts. It seems that you have lived too comfortably in the human world. However, you have not done anything for me. If you die like this, I will lose too much. Chang'e gnashed her teeth and said. Wu Gang beside her could not help but shrink his head. He knew his boss's temper. If this mind-reading sage did not die this time, his boss would teach him a lesson when he ascended to the heaven realm. Hongjun ancestor, you have given me so much time. Since everyone is here today, shouldn't you return the monkey's things to him? Sun Wukong walked to Hongjun ancestor and said with a smile. I don't know what the victorious fighting Buddha is talking about. You don't seem to have left anything with me. Hongjun ancestor said with a smile. Let's not beat around the bush. I know my origin. I have no father and mother. I jumped out from the crack of a stone. Back then, I was indebted to Master Bodhi who taught me martial arts. Then, I followed Golden Cicada to walk the path of merit. That's how I got my current cultivation. Although I have no father and mother, shouldn't I return the rootless stone that gave birth to me? Sun Wukong was not in a hurry and said with a smile. It turns out that the victorious fighting Buddha is talking about the rootless stone. That day, I made a bet with Bodhi, and he lost the rootless stone to me. Today, if you want it, you should ask your master for it. Hongjun ancestor said while stroking his beard. Ancestor, what you said is meaningless. That day, you made a bet with my master, and there should be another agreement. If I reach the 12th layer of heaven in the future, this rootless stone will be returned to me. Sun Wukong looked at Hongjun ancestor and said, Monkey, you also know our agreement. You have to reach the 12th layer of heaven before you can take away this rootless stone. However, I'm afraid your current strength is still some distance away from the 12th layer of heaven. Hongjun ancestor looked at the situation in the mortal world and said with a smile. Since ancestor agrees to this bet, Then come in and take away my rootless stone. After Sun Wukong finished speaking, he took out the Jingu Bang in his hand. Then, the Jingu Bang danced in the Moon Palace. Chang-Yi flicked her sleeve and set up a taboo in the space where Sun Wukong was. 10 strong iron rules, the origin of strength. I, Sun Wukong, have completely comprehended the Tao of strength. I'll use this Tao of strength to verify the origin. Sun Wukong roared and smashed the Jingu Bang fiercely at the taboo set up by Chang-Yi. The originally unbreakable taboo was shattered by Sun Wukong. Wu Gang, who was not far away, watched with wide eyes. Immortal Erlang Yang Jian, who was meditating in his mansion, also appeared in the Moon Palace. Yang Jian, Monkey has verified the origin. We won't be able to beat him in the future. Wu Gang whispered. Yang Jian nodded. Wu Gang, Yang Jian, and Sun Wukong were the most likely to break through the 12th layer of the Heavenly Palace. After Sun Wukong verified the origin, the final balance was broken. Ha 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 ha, little Wukong, no, it should be the great sage, heaven's equal, victorious fighting Buddha. Congratulations, ha 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 ha. Chang-Yi laughed and said. Hongjun ancestor frowned and waved his hand. A stone that didn't look like a treasure appeared in front of everyone. Fairy, so you are playing a big game of chess. 2 hours are up. Let's end the matter of Monkey here. I'm going to cut off the power of seizing the heavens. The old voice sounded again. Cut off the power of seizing the heavens. Mind Reader will definitely die. If that's the case, then let me ring the bell of chaos to send him on his way. With that, a big bell appeared in Chang-Yi's hand. The group of people widened their eyes. Chang-Yi, I'll give him 2 more hours. Quickly put this thing away. The old voice sounded again, but Chang-Yi's sleeve had already knocked on the bell of chaos. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Chang-Yi narrowed her eyes and looked at Hongjun ancestor and the person in the void. You all said that I care about my face the most. You want to bully a woman like me after seeing Monkey break through? You are going too far. Chapter 442. 1. The bell of chaos rang again. Monkey had been shaken by the bell of chaos and fainted. Hongjun ancestor took out his magic weapon and blocked the sound wave from the bell of chaos. God blocked the sound wave with the power of seizing the heavens. The bell of chaos was effective for the masters of origin, but it had no effect on others. After the bell of chaos rang 3 times, Chang-Yi put away the bell of chaos. If you want to take back the power of seizing the heavens, take it back. I don't care. Chang-Yi finished speaking and pulled the unconscious Sun Wukong into the Moon Palace. Futaba, if you don't come out, I will be finished. God watched Chang-Yi go back. He had suffered a loss just now, so naturally, he couldn't say anything. He directly cut off the power of seizing the heavens. The moonlight in the human world suddenly dimmed. Guopai felt the change in the moonlight and shouted loudly. Why did Sister suddenly lose her temper? It must be those old guys who annoyed Sister again. Yuer looked at the moon and said softly. She still didn't know Guopai's situation. You greedy guys, the moonlight is gone. You can't complete the transformation. I can't continue to control the formation for you. Guopai roared and was about to withdraw his divine sense. At the same time, Futaba rushed out of the cave and stuffed 6 9-colored elixirs into the mouths of 6 half-transformed spirit beasts. My lord, just withdraw your divine sense. They won't die. Futaba said loudly to Guopai. Guopai withdrew his divine sense, spat out a mouthful of blood and fainted directly. At the last moment of fainting, Guopai couldn't help but curse. Damn it, nothing had happened to him since he came to the human world. On this island, he had fainted twice. After that, Guopai's originally formed Shudan shattered again. This time, the cultivation of the late Xiantian realm was gone. The instant Guopai fainted, Yuer, who had been thinking about the lunar palace, felt a sharp pain in her chest. A sweet taste suddenly appeared in her mouth. Yuer forced back a mouthful of essence blood. Something happened to bad guy bro. Where is he? Could it be that big sister is so angry because of brother bad guy? Yor said in her heart. She popped a pill into her mouth and sat cross-legged. After about an hour, a trace of color slowly returned to her face. However, Guapai wasn't so lucky. On Firecloud Island, he was unconscious for a total of 49 days. Finally, on the morning of the 50th day, he slowly opened his eyes. The originally lazy Futaba immediately jumped up. My lord, you're awake. You're finally awake. Futaba shouted excitedly. What about those guys? Are they all right? Guapai asked softly. They're fine. They're all at the back of the mountain in human form. This time, it's all thanks to my lord. My lord has given them a new lease of life. Futaba said emotionally. This time, he had followed the right person. My lord had just woken up, but he didn't care about his own safety. He was still thinking about the 6 spirit beasts. Actually, Futaba naturally didn't understand the meaning behind Guapai's question. F*ck, he had been tricked by those 6 beasts. If those guys were dead, then so be it. But if they weren't dead, yours truly would definitely teach them a lesson when he recovered. However, Futaba didn't understand Guapai at all. Gorilla 4, my lord has woken up. Go and call the remaining 5 over. Futaba saw the figure of Gorilla 4 not far away and shouted to the gorilla. The gorilla was stunned for a moment before disappearing into the forest. About 2 minutes later, the entire mountain was in an uproar. All kinds of birds and beasts were running all over the place. The ones that came to Guapai's side weren't 6 spirit beasts, but 6 burly men. Although they couldn't be considered handsome, they were still passable. Put on your clothes. Put on your clothes first. Yours truly doesn't care about bodies like yours. Guapai's face was filled with black lines as he shouted at the 6 men. Only now did he know that he was in trouble. He couldn't open the gourd, and he didn't even have the strength of a late-stage Sciention master. When the 6 men heard Guapai's voice, they ran back to the back of the mountain. About 10 minutes later, the 6 men returned in front of Guapai. Clothes, it could be considered clothes. Tiger had a tiger skin draped over his body, and the one with a bear skin was undoubtedly Bear 3. The one that Guapai couldn't accept the most was Leopard 5. The leopard skin on his body seemed to have just been removed, and it was still dripping with blood. However, this was still much better than the 6 naked men. Thank you, my lord, for your grace of rebirth. The 6 burly men uniformly knelt in front of Guapai and said loudly, Get up. This is all your own destiny. However, when the moonlight disappeared, how did you complete your final transformation? Guapai couldn't help but ask. Little Monkey got up and jumped onto Huda's shoulder. He beamed with joy as he told Guapai about the situation at that time. Guapai gently nodded his head. These 6 guys were really too lucky. Guapai could also refine the form transformation pill, but if he wanted to help a guy who had just awakened his bloodline to transform, the ordinary form transformation pill was simply not enough. These 6 guys were really lucky. Futaba found a gourd in the treasure room. Inside it, there were 6 peerless form transformation pills, which solved the urgent needs of the 6 guys, allowing them to transform successfully. Dog shit luck, really dog shit luck, or 6 bastards stepped on dog shit together and got lucky, Guapai secretly said in his heart. However, he couldn't say it out loud. He directly shouted for the 6 men to get up. With his current strength, it was impossible for him to break through the array and return to Bugyaku. He could only stay on the island for now. Brother Imo, it's already been a year. Is there still no news of Brother Guapai's whereabouts? This year's Ivan auction is about to start again. I still want to invite you guys to continue to be guests. Vittorio knew about Guapai through some special channels. The main reason he called Mo Beifong was to contact Guapai again to ask for a few more pills. The Japanese spent $1.6 billion to buy a snow muscle pill. After a year, together with many Chinese medicine experts in Korea, they analyzed the ingredients of the pill. The results surprised everyone. Although the ingredients were precious, no matter how they combined the ingredients to refine it, they couldn't find a substitute. In the end, it ended in failure. Raphael, is there still no news of the Huaxia? In the United States of America, the bishop of the Dark Church asked Raphael. Guapai's plane encountered an accident. The little girl and another Huaxia on the plane survive. Guapai has been missing for a year. I'm afraid he's already dead. Raphael said softly. And the guy who destroyed my angel sword. We sent a lot of people to Huaxia, but this person also seems to have disappeared. If I hadn't seen both of them, I would have suspected that they were the same person. Dead? Stupid, all of you will die, but he won't die. Get out of here, there's nothing for you to do here. A powerful pressure appeared on Raphael and the bishop, and the two of them ran away as if they were running for their lives. This pill has the smell of samadhi, true fire. Taishang Laojun, when did Taishang Laojun start to intervene in the affairs of the human world? A man in black appeared in the hall of the Dark Church and said to himself, no matter who intervenes in the affairs of the human world, it's impossible to stop the great demon from rising again. 5 elements: primordial umbrella, fire cloud demon slaying portrait, water repelling pearl, Vajra demon subduing ring, perfected Lord fire cloud. I'll take these items. Since you can't possibly go down to the lower realm to retrieve them, I'll give you half of them when I return to the heavenly realm. After staying on the island for 3 months, Guapai once again broke through the Xiantian realm and entered the enlightening period. Then, with the help of 6 spiritual beasts that had successfully transformed, he opened the treasure room and looted it. Good karma, this old man doesn't have to worry about those things on Fire Cloud Island anymore. Just as Guapai and his group of 7 people and 1 monkey opened the seal of Fire Cloud Island, a voice came from the mansion of Fire Cloud Supreme, who had been in seclusion for 10,000 years. Fire Cloud Supreme had come out. When will Daddy come home? A 1-year-old girl was playing behind you in Bugyaku. After playing for a while, she was tired and sat on a stool and asked softly, Little Meng, your daddy will come back soon. You was in a good mood today because she felt that the big bad guy was fine and was coming back. Chapter 443. On the surface of the sea, a quaint ship was sailing in the Pacific Ocean. During this period, they encountered several waves of pirate. Guapai did not make a move. The 6 big men on the ship let them see what real pirates were. Originally, there was nothing in the cabin, but now it was full. Huda, look at how I look in this dress. It's much better than the one just now, right? Huer looked at Huda and asked. Huda nodded. Huer directly changed into a set of sailor clothes that he had taken from the pirates and put them on himself. Grandpa, I'm out of danger. I'm trying to find a way to go back. I can't tell you the exact location now, but it should still be in the Pacific Ocean. Can you see if you can find my location through the satellite phone and send someone to pick us up? Guapai snatched a satellite phone from the pirate ship. Before it was broken by the big men, he made a call to Guashenhua. Good. It's good that you're fine. Don't move your ship. I'll contact the military to pick you up. Guiyuan hadn't seen his grandson for more than a year. Although he didn't say anything, he was very worried. If it weren't for his great-granddaughter chattering in front of him every day, the old man might not have been able to hold on. Grandpa, it's best if you can recruit some of your own people. Some things are easier to explain. Guapai added. Guashenhua naturally understood what he meant. After hanging up the phone, he directly contacted the Dragon King. The Dragon King directly sent people from the Tyrannosaurus Rex group to get a warship from the Huaxia Navy and rushed towards Guapai's location. I'll tell the 6 of you again. You are now humans. From now on, follow this bad master. You have to learn all the things I taught you. You can't make trouble. If anyone dares to disobey, I'll throw you back to the island. Today was the third time the little monkey told the big guys the rules. Futaba, there's no need to explain to them. They've already done a good job. Guapai said with a smile. He threw 6 pills to the 6 big men. The 6 of them almost knelt down to Guapai again, but looking at Guapai's eyes, they sat down on the stools. Futaba, there is one thing you must remember. Do not speak when there are outsiders. Otherwise, you will be in trouble. Guapai said with a smile. The little monkey nodded. Futaba also ate a form transformation pill. However, in his words, it was completely useless. Guapai was also very curious about this matter. However, if he wanted to know the answer, he would have to wait until he returned to the heavenly court to ask the great sage. Speaking of great sage Sun, he was now soaking in a pool in the Moon Palace. Because of the Bell of Chaos, he had been soaking in it for a few hours, but there were no signs of him waking up. Look at the 2 of you. One of you only knows how to chop down osmanthus trees with a broken axe every day. The other one only knows how to walk his dog when he has nothing to do. Let me tell you, I'll give you 3,000 years. If your strength can't break through the 12th layer of heaven, then I'll banish you to the mortal world. When that time comes, you can go find that bastard. Yang Jian, take care of your howling celestial dog. I don't want to eat dog meat recently. Don't mess with me. Humph, I've been scolding you for a long time. You 2 stay here and look after the monkey. When he wakes up, bring him to see me. Chang'e said and disappeared beside the pool. The 2 big men breathed a sigh of relief. The monkey has broken through the 12th layer of heaven. Boss is going to reorganize the Dark Knight army. Wu Gang thought for a moment and said softly. Yang Jian stared and nodded. Yue received a call from Guapai and sighed softly. The big bad guy was finally coming back. Not long after the news that Guapai was going home, many people who were related to Guapai had already received the news. For a time, many people in the capital and Wu Castle became active. Damn, 4th brother is really troublesome. For more than a year, I thought he died outside. Jia Yuan sighed and said. Li Yao shook his head with a smile. Wang Xing drank tea leisurely, as if he did not hear what Jia Yuan said. 4th brother will die. I'm afraid that even if we all die, 4th brother will not die. Wang Xing said with a smile. Big brother, you said that 4th brother has changed a lot since the car accident. Sometimes I wonder if the 4th brother in front of me is our 4th brother from back then. Li Yao still did not speak. He had this feeling for a long time, but it did not matter whether it was 4th brother or not. Now 4th brother called them brother and took good care of them. It's good that brother bad guy is fine. Yezi, we are about to graduate from high school. Do you think we should go to college? Tang Shi said with a smile. If you want to go to college, go to college. I won't go. I will go to Bugyaku. If I don't follow big bad guy, it will be too late when he has a lot of wives and concubines. Su Yi said to Tang Shi. Shameless. Little Yezi, I still remember that when you first met brother bad guy, you didn't get along well with him. How did you become like this now? Tang Shi said with a smile. I am like this now. Do whatever you want. Anyway, I will go find big bad guy. Before we left school, he promised us that we will go find him after we graduate from high school. He will arrange everything for us. Su Yi said with a smile. The 2 girls laughed again. President, there is news about Guapai. He will probably arrive in the capital in 2 days. In a luxurious office, a girl in a uniform said to another girl who was reading a document. Jingjing, didn't I tell you? Just call me Lingling when there's no one around. I already know about Guoxiao's matter. Cancel all the meetings for the next 2 days. Tell the people in charge of each position to make arrangements for their department. I'm going to the capital. Sun Lingling said and stood up. Come with me. Haven't you always wanted to see what kind of man I dream of? Sun Ling Ling graduated from high school and directly took over the first assets won by Guopai at Wu Castle. Now Wu Castle Group had become the biggest taxpayer in Wu Castle. Jia Yuan's Yuan International had shifted the focus of its business overseas. The money earned through the special ability martial arts competition had made Jia Yuan famous. Elders, our head is back. You can go back and have a good rest these days. We have troubled you for the past year. During the period when Guopai disappeared, the Chinese Medicine Association's elders in Bugyaku helped them deal with the problems they encountered. Now that Guopai was coming back, the group of people finally felt at ease. They could deal with some minor illnesses. If they couldn't deal with it, they could transfer to Bugyaku in the capital. They didn't have to worry about trouble in the capital. We do need to have a good rest, but we're going to the capital's Bai Medical Hall to rest. We've been working in your medical hall for more than a year. There's nothing wrong with asking for some wine from your hall master, right? Lin Chongtian of the Chinese Medicine Association said with a smile. Then, the 4 vice presidents followed Lin Chongtian to the capital. Little mama, is my daddy really coming back? A lot of people have come recently, but none of them are my daddy. The 1-year-old Guo Xiaoming sat on Yu Er's lap and asked softly. Recently, the little girl had heard that Guopai was coming back. Although Yu had let her see Guopai's photos, the little girl would rush to any man below the age of 20 and above the age of 16 and call them daddy. It made people not know whether to laugh or cry. I am back. Chapter 444. I'm back. It was 7:00 in the evening. Bugyaku was closed for business, but the door was still open. Yu sat on the steps in the courtyard with Meng Meng in her arms. Guopai stood at the door, his gaze landing on Guo Xiaoming. Little mommy, this man looks so similar to the photo you showed me. Is he daddy? Meng Meng pouted and said, the people behind him are so tall and ugly. Cough, cough, cough. Scram, you guys hurry up and scram. Gu Yun, you came at the right time. I'll leave these 6 people to you. Bring them to stay in the Gu family. I'll be there in a while. Hurry up and scram. My daughter almost scared my little daughter, Guopai said loudly to the 6 big men behind him. Then, he walked in front of Meng Meng with a look that he thought was the most handsome. Daddy? You're my daddy? Meng Meng looked at Guopai and asked softly. It's really been a few days in the cave, but it's already the new year outside. This is my daughter. This trip to the human world is really worth it. Yu Er's wife, it's been hard on you these days, Guopai said with a smile. My precious daughter, call me Daddy again. Daddy, I'm going to tell Mommy that Daddy is back. With that, Meng Meng ran straight into the house. Meng Meng was originally a little taller than other children of her age, so she ran very steadily. However, Guopai still reached out and cast a Vajra amulet on the little girl. Even if she fell, she wouldn't feel any pain. Meng Meng, why are you running so fast? Let's go. Big brother will bring you to a good place. Meng Meng had just walked past the second door when she was stopped by a little boy who was half a head taller than her. Guopai stared at the little boy with his eyes wide open. Third Prince, it seems like you're very used to your current appearance. However, hurry up and let go of my daughter. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude to you, Guopai said loudly to the little boy. The little boy turned to look at Guopai. Then, he let go of Meng Meng and leisurely walked to Guopai's side. Wine? Let's not talk about that first. This young master has already come out and you only just came back. Wine, give me some wine first. I've been craving it recently. The little boy extended his small hand and said to Guopai. Ahem, 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 I'm sure there's enough wine. You stay aside for now. I'm going to see my wives. Guopai leaped into the air and landed in the hall. Big brother bad guy, you're finally back. When will we go out to the sea to play? I haven't played enough with those whales yet. Little Ling Mo saw Guopai looking at everyone with a mischievous smile. He was the first to run to Guopai's side and said with a smile, Where did you catch this little monkey? Hee hee, you guys can chat first. Leave this little monkey to me to play with for a few days. Little Ling Mo directly reached out and grabbed the little monkey standing on Guapai's shoulder. Futaba, play with the little girl for a while. I have something to do here. Come over for dinner tonight, Guapai said to the little monkey with a smile. Futaba didn't struggle and directly jumped onto little Ling Mo's shoulder. Little Ling Mo led the little monkey out. When he saw that the third prince was also there, he directly grabbed the dumbfounded third prince and brought him to the courtyard to walk the monkey. Guapai walked into the reception room in the backyard under the gaze of a group of people. The room was filled with people, but there were no outsiders. All the employees of Bugyaku, his aunt Guafanyu, Lin Shuang, his 3 sworn brothers, Mo Beifong, who had stayed in Bugyaku for a day after hearing the news that Guapai was coming back, Xia Wudi of the T-Rex group and several other group leaders of the T-Rex group, Xianyuan Xiongfeng and Xianyuan Tingfei, and of course, the old man of the Nangong family. Guapai told them about his experience in the past year. Naturally, he didn't tell everyone everything. He only said that after he jumped off the plane, he swam to a small island and lived on it for more than a year. Then, he accidentally found an ancient ship on the island. Then, he sailed the ancient ship and drifted on the sea. After that, he encountered a few waves of pirates and saved 6 burly men and a monkey. Finally, he contacted his grandfather. However, from the looks of everyone, Guapai could tell that this group of people didn't even believe the punctuation marks of his words. How could such an expert be trapped on an island for more than a year? Everyone, don't look at me like that. Sai, you want me to talk, but you don't believe me. I see that everyone hasn't eaten dinner yet. Why don't we talk while eating? Guapai said with a smile. The group of people began to get busy. Guapai chatted with Lin Shuang for a while before he was pulled into the house by Yu. First wife, there are so many people outside. I know you miss me, but you can't be in such a hurry. Guapai said with a smile. You haven't forgotten your ability to lie. That little monkey has the bloodline of the 6-eared macaque. Don't tell me you didn't know. Also, the 6 burly men that appeared at the door were all spirit beasts. You've done well this year, coming back and causing such a big commotion. Yu said softly. Hee, first wife is still the quick-witted one. This time, I was trapped on a small island and gained a lot. Guapai said with a smile. After dinner, I'll tell you about this experience. Sigh, strength, I'm still not strong enough. After going out for so long, Aunt has a big secret. I've asked Aunt many times, but she doesn't seem to know. You should know what's going on. Yu said softly. If you didn't mention it, I would have forgotten. Shui Yunzi, that water immortal ancestor is with Aunt. Guapai said softly, I'll be busy for the next few days. You'll have to give me the concealment talisman that fairy gave you. I can give you the concealment talisman, but you have to think carefully. If it's Shui Yunzi's real body, where are you going to find a physical body for him? He won't be interested in an ordinary physical body. Yu said softly. Guapai nodded gently. If Yu hadn't mentioned it, he would have forgotten about it. It seemed that he had to have a good chat with Shui Yunzi when he had time. I can help you release your real body, but you'll have to deal with the physical body yourself. When it was time for dinner, more and more people came to Bugyaku. A few girls came from Wu Castle to the imperial capital. There were also a few old men from the Chinese Medicine Association. The 531s also came to Bugyaku. In the end, Guapai had to prepare a few more tables of food in the Gu residence to satisfy everyone's need. Brother Gu, get some people to take Old Man Lin and the others to the Gu residence to rest. As for the others, if they don't have anywhere to go, they can find a place to stay in the Gu residence. Guapai said with a smile. The group of people drank quite well today, and several of them were drunk. Bad people, little Meng Meng is playing with those big guys. Is everything all right? Lin Shuang whispered to Guopai when she saw that most of the people had left. Guopao looked over and saw that Xiao Mengmeng was thrown into the air by Hu De and the other fellows and was firmly caught in their hands. The little girl was giggling. Guopao's face was filled with black lines. These fellows actually picked up his own daughter and started playing with her. He looked at Futaba and saw that he seemed to have found out about the third prince. He was intentionally or unintentionally hiding from the third prince. However, the third prince definitely knew about Futaba and wanted to grab Futaba and ask him about it. Seeing that everyone had left, the third prince walked to Guopai's side and whispered to Guopai, "Boss, where did you get this monkey? If the great sage finds out, he'll probably beat it to death with a stick. We don't care about what happens in the heavens, and they don't have the heart to care about what happens in the human world. When the time comes, maybe the great sage will accept this little guy as his disciple, haha." Chapter 445. After a sleepless night, Guopai told Yor everything that happened on Fire Cloud Island. Naturally, the identity of the 6 spirit beasts couldn't be hidden from Yor and the 6-eared macaque, little Futaba. I really didn't expect Fire Cloud Sage to leave so many good things in the human world. Yor looked at the pile of magic weapons that Guopai took out and said softly, "By the way, you said that there were 8 great devils trapped on Fire Cloud Island. Why do I feel that this matter is a bit strange?" Guopai nodded gently. After more than 2 years in the human world, there were a lot of strange things that happened. Guopai faintly felt that there should be someone playing a big game of chess, and he was just a chess piece. Thinking about it, Guopai couldn't help but shake his head. "By the way, let me show you the treasures that I bought in Italy." After saying that, Guopai took out Lao Juan's gourd, Shadow Gu box, and Xiao Li's flying dagger appeared in front of Yor. "Bad guy brother, put away the flying dagger and the Shadow Gu box. Don't let them be together." Yor looked at the 2 things and said loudly. Little Ling Mo, who was meditating, opened his eyes. Guopai had a bad premonition and hurriedly put the flying dagger back into Lao Juan's gourd. "Yor, what happened just now? Why did they appear at the same time with such pressure?" Guopai couldn't help but ask. It was the first time that he encountered such a thing. "Bad guy brother, did you offend someone in Italy? This method was used by the Great Witch to deal with the Great Devil. How could someone use it to deal with you?" Yor asked softly. "These things belong to the Dark Church. My aunt used to be a member of the Dark Church. She was enslaved by the Blood Devil. It seems that the Great Devil wants to deal with me." Guopao whispered as he recalled the reason. "Chaotic, it's really too chaotic. Don't touch these 2 things for now. Tomorrow, go find Qiu Daoyuan and Li Shixin and see if they have any good ideas." Yor said softly. Little Ling Ma didn't know what the 2 of them were talking about, so he didn't disturb them. He just watched the 2 of them finish talking. "Brother bad guy, sister Yor, I bought a lot of things from Italy. Can you show them to me? I don't want to be tricked." Little Ling Ma opened his eyes wide and said. The 2 of them shook their heads at the same time. Even if the Great Devil wanted to deal with Little Ling Ma, it was impossible for him to take out so many magic treasures. Even the Great Witch didn't have many of these magic treasures left behind. The next morning, Guopai hadn't left his room when he heard Gu Yun calling him. Guopai hurriedly walked out. Could it be that these big guys had caused some trouble? "Brother Gu, what's so urgent?" Guopai looked at Gu Yun and asked. "The first chief is here. He is outside. Do you want to go out and take a look? It seems that he is looking for you." Gu Yun said softly. "Chairman Kai is here. I don't know what's the matter. I will go and take a look." Guopai directly walked to the entrance of Bugyaku. A commercial car was parked outside. Guopai directly opened the door and sat in the car. "Chairman Kai, I haven't seen you for a long time. How are you?" Guopai said with a smile without any restraint. Kai Tianyang was also used to Guopai's current attitude. In the past year, Hua Xia had developed very well. The biggest contributor should be Guopai. After taking down 4 black holes, Hua Xia had advanced by leaps and bounds in terms of technology and other aspects. Little Bad, your disappearance this time is really big. When you went missing, Hua Xia's navy was almost fully mobilized and almost caused a world war. You are finally back, Kai Tianyang said with a smile. There are no outsiders. Just say what you want. Guopai looked at Kai Tianyang and said. The driver was Li Dafu. Since Kai Tianyang let Li Dafu drive, he naturally trusted Li Dafu for today's matter. Take a look at this report first. Your grandfather also knows about this matter. Although it hasn't caused any unrest yet, if it spreads according to the current situation, Hua Xia will be in chaos. Kai Tianyang handed his mobile phone to Guopai. Guopai looked at the things on the screen and frowned. 3 waves of medical teams have been sent, but there is no response at all. Beijiang is vast and sparsely populated. Now everyone is not clear about the situation there. Kai Tianyang said softly. Epidemic, and it is likely to be a large-scale epidemic. This matter can't wait. Guopai said softly. Give me a day to prepare. I will take Bugyaku's people to Beijiang. Let everyone know about this matter. It can't be hidden. If the government didn't release the news immediately, it would cause more unrest. Kai Tianyang looked at Li Dafu and the two nodded together. But before the 3 of them could recover, Li Dafu received a phone call that almost made Kai Tianyang furious. What? What did you say? There are websites reporting about the epidemic in Beijiang. Several major websites in the country have already reposted it. There are even reporters rushing to Beijiang? When did this happen? Why are you only telling me now? Li Dafu asked loudly into the phone, even forgetting that Kai Tianyang was beside him. Mayor, we remember what you told us. We have people taking turns to monitor the news on the internet 24 hours a day. But this news came from Beijiang. Although we deleted it immediately, we don't know why other major websites have also received the news. The person on the other end of the phone said softly. Dafu, give me the phone. I will tell them. Kai Tianyang said softly and took the phone directly. I am Kai Tianyang. Remember what you have to do now. Release an epidemic notice in the name of the country. Tell the people that we have sent medical teams to Beijiang. Then contact the local garrison and seal off Beijiang. Add one more thing. In 24 hours, Bugyaku's president, Guopai, will personally lead a team to Beijiang. I hope everyone can rest assured, Guopai said softly. Kai Tianyang nodded gratefully. Guopai chatted with Kai Tianyang for a while more before walking into Bugyaku. At this time, all the students in Bugyaku were already standing in the courtyard with different expressions. You all already know about the epidemic, right? Guopai said with a smile. I have already promised Bugyaku to send people to Beijiang. I will personally lead the team. Boss, count me in. During the time you were not around, I learned a lot from teacher Tong Yuan. I hope I can go to Beijiang with you this time and contribute my strength, Su Tu said loudly. Then, the other students expressed their opinions. Do you all think that Guopai's medical skills are invincible, and that following me to Beijiang will be a good opportunity to learn? Then you are wrong this time. I am very confident in my medical skills. However, this trip to Beijiang will definitely not be easy. Not only you, but even I may be trapped in the epidemic area and never be able to return. Guopai's words made everyone's eyes widen. Yu nodded gently. She had seen the pictures on the internet. Plague. Yes, it was indeed a plague, but it was not a simple plague. Such a plague had appeared in the human world 10,000 years ago. At that time, the heavenly court had sent out countless doctors. In the end, they had used countless elixirs and miraculous medicines to prevent the final disaster. The symptoms at that time were exactly the same as in the pictures. If Guo Pao had been alone, it would have been impossible to stop this disaster. Boss, the more it is like this, the more we have to follow you to Beijing. You have told us before that before a disaster, we need great doctors. I think it is time for us to stand up now, Chen Jiadi said loudly. All right, then let's get ready. Let's face this disaster together. Chapter 446. Bugyaku had been busy since the morning. All the people in Bugyaku were divided into two groups. One group was writing prescriptions for the patients who came to Bugyaku for treatment, while the other group was working with Guopai in the medicine room. That's all we can do for now, Guopai said with a serious face. Little Mo, I won't be taking you to Beijing this time. Remember the prescriptions you made today. After the old men sober up, give them the prescriptions to the Chinese Medicine Association and tell them that the herbs must be of good quality. It's best if they can be mass-produced. Bugyaku will set up a special dispensary for all the citizens who come to Bugyaku to distribute the herbs. These herbs have some effect on fighting the plague. Hiemo did not say much. He nodded lightly and did not insist on going with them like little Ling Imo. Don't go back to Wu Castle for now. Stay in Bugyaku. Guopai said to Tang Shi and the others, Ling, find a way to buy Chinese herbs with second brother. After you buy them, send them directly to the Gu family. You sort the herbs according to the best quality. Then, set up the production line for Yuan International and dream of Wu Castle as soon as possible. Mass-produce bottled Chinese herbs. Then, distribute them to all parts of Huaxia for free. I'll pay for all the expenses. Fourth brother, what you're saying is a little boring. What expenses? I'm leaving first. I'll go to the company and arrange the recent matters. Ling, find a few trustworthy people to come to my company. I have a factory in the south that has just been built. Prepare the equipment and set up the Chinese medicine refining base first. After Jia Yuan finished speaking, he ran out without looking back. Fourth brother, what do you need us to do? Li Yao and Wang Xing stepped forward and asked. Third brother, I remember that you used to do well in Huaxia's Hacker Alliance. Guopai said softly, contact your old friends and take over the homepages of all the websites. Especially, control the panic caused by the external forces and buy us some time. Don't let the people in Huaxia panic. Wang Xing nodded and went to the Gu family. The Gu family had a server with good performance that he could use. Brother Yao, you go with the Dragon King to the Tyrannosaurus Rex group. Niumeng, the rest of you go back to 531. Your mission is the same as third brother's. If there are any rumors spreading, take them under control. The capital can't fall into chaos, Guopai said softly. They nodded and turned to leave. Senior Chiu, Senior Li, this is a once-in-10,000 years opportunity. Come with me to the northern frontier. The only reason I can earn merits like this is because you two are acquaintances. Otherwise, I wouldn't have brought you along, Guopai said with a smile. The two old men's faces darkened. If they could get rid of the plague, the merits would definitely be huge. However, as you said, this is a once-in-10,000 years disaster. It's not something that can be solved so easily. However, the two old men still nodded. They were rescued by Guopai from the gourd. Whether they could get rid of the plague or not, they would return the favor to Guopai. Aunt, you want to go to the northern frontier with me, Guopai said as he looked at Guofanyu. Guofanyu nodded without any further explanation. Chen Jiadi, Chao Qinkuan, Shao Qian, Su Tu Yaoshi, Shao Shao, the few of you want to go to the northern frontier with me. I won't force you. Just like I said earlier, if you are infected with the plague in the northern frontier, I don't have 100% confidence that I can cure you, Guopai said softly. The six of them took a step forward and stood behind Guopai. Even Su Tu, who was always laughing, had a serious expression. Then, Guopai let the 6 students pack up their things. He walked into the medicine room again. The biggest way to deal with a plague in the human world was to use things from the human world. The pills that he refined should not have much effect on the plague in front of him. Guopai thought about what happened 10,000 years ago and couldn't help but shake his head. I can't panic. I have to have confidence. This is no longer my problem. The heavenly court won't send heavenly doctors down to the human world like 10,000 years ago. I can only hope that the plague this time isn't as bad as last time. Guopai whispered to himself. Then, he quickly grabbed 36 herbs and brewed a bowl of medicine for himself. Then, he divided it into 6 portions and poured them into a jade bottle. Guopai didn't appear for lunch and dinner. After Lin Chongtian and the others sobered up, they took Guopai's prescription and rushed back to Wu Castle. The 5 of them split into 5 groups and each group led a few people to the branches of the Chinese Medicine Association in the 5 big cities of Huaxia. You guys saw the news today, right? What happened in the northern frontier is true. There is a plague in the northern frontier. Now, the entire northern frontier is under lockdown. No one is allowed to enter or leave. In a tea house in the imperial capital, a few middle-aged men were chatting as usual. I saw the news. Our imperial capital, Bugyaku, sent people to the northern frontier early this morning. I believe that with godly Dr. Guo, this plague will be resolved quickly. Another middle-aged man said with a smile. If it's really a plague, then it's hard to say. I remember that there were a few plagues recorded in the history books of Huaxia. Every single one of them caused huge losses. In the end, it took years or even decades for it to be resolved. Headmaster Guo's medical skills are indeed brilliant, but he's still too young to deal with a plague. Another middle-aged man shook his head helplessly. Look, Source International and Wu Castle's Dream of Wu Castle have made a big move together. I remember that the boss of Source International, Jia Yuan, has a good relationship with Bugyaku's Guopai. It seems that the chairwoman of Dream of Wu Castle also knows Guopai. The middle-aged man who spoke just now saw that Source International and Dream of Wu Castle were holding a press conference at the same time as he scrolled through the news on his phone. Everyone should have seen the news. As a member of Huaxia, we, Source International, are prepared to take out 50 billion Huaxia dollars to establish a Chinese medicine company on our new factory site to produce anti-plague medicine. At the same time, we will work together with Dream of Wu Castle's director Sun to distribute the produced Chinese medicine to citizens all over the country as soon as possible. Jia Yuan said softly into the microphone. Director Jia, I wonder who gave you the prescription for the anti-plague medicine. Are you sure that Chinese medicine can resist this plague? A female reporter asked softly below the stage. The prescription was personally researched by Headmaster Guo Pai in Bugyaku. Before he went to Beijing, he said that this Chinese medicine can't guarantee 100% resistance to the plague, but at least it can increase our resistance to disease and reduce the risk of infection. Jia Yuan said softly. We're going to be rich. Source International is going to hit the jackpot this time. I really didn't expect that. Last time, when Source International was restructured, Jia Yuan earned a pot of platinum. This time, it's even more impressive. I have to find someone to place an order with Source International. If I'm late, I'm afraid I won't even get the first batch of medicine. A middle-aged man finished speaking and got up to leave. Old Zhang, you don't have to go. The middle-aged man holding the phone said softly, his eyes full of admiration. What's wrong? Has all the Chinese medicine in Source International been reserved? Old Zhang couldn't help but ask with a face full of disappointment. The middle-aged man stopped talking and turned the phone's volume to the maximum. The tea house quieted down. The newly established company is called the Great Doctor Company. This time, all the Chinese medicine will be distributed for free. Yes, all of it will be distributed for free. Not only the current medicine, but before the epidemic is under control, all the medicine in our company will be distributed for free to Huaxia brothers and sisters all over the country. Jia Yuan stood up and said loudly. The audience applauded thunderously, and several female reporters even shed tears. The great doctor, the doctor of the country. Chapter 447. Bugyaku's group of 10 took a plane directly to Longhua Airport, which was the closest to Beijiang. Then, with the help of the local garrison, they directly drove into Beijiang. Boss, where are we going now? After the Beijiang city government signed the entry and exit form for outsiders, Guopai and the others walked out of the government building. Chen Jiadi asked softly. Let's go. Take your respective document. I'll take you to the municipal hospital. Elder Chiu, elderly, I'll leave the matter of finding the source of the plague to the two of you. If there's anything, contact me. After Guopai finished speaking, the two old men leisurely left the group. The few students knew that the two old men weren't ordinary people, so they didn't say anything. Boss, there's no one in the hospital. There's no doctor or patient. The few students walked around the entire hospital building, but they didn't even see a shadow. Guopai's face darkened. The situation was more serious than he imagined. On the way to the municipal hospital, they could see a few people scattered on the streets, but there was no one in the hospital. Then, where were the patients mentioned on the internet? Where did the patients go? Little Bad, the municipal hospital used to have Chinese medicine. The pharmacy is on the second floor. Guo Fanyu was the last to appear in front of everyone. She looked at Guopai and whispered, Auntie, take these students to the pharmacy first. See if the herbs in the pharmacy are complete. I'll go out and take a look. After saying that, Guopai walked out of the hospital. Guo Fanyu led a group of people to the Chinese medicine pharmacy on the second floor. The Beijiang city government doesn't want us to care about the epidemic here. Sitting in the car, Guopao thought about everything that had happened since he entered Beijiang city and summed it up with this sentence. Mayor Song, those doctors from the capital went to the municipal hospital. The mayor is wise. The hospital is empty, but I think that Guopai, who led the team, will come back. What should we do then? Zhang Shuquan, the secretary of the Beijiang city mayor, whispered to Mayor Song Qing. Open the first quarantine zone to them and let them in. After they enter the quarantine zone, lock down the entire quarantine zone. Just deal with them like the previous doctors. Song Qing narrowed his eyes and said, Let the people of the northern borderline settle their own matters. If the northern borderline were to fall due to the plague, it should fall in my hands. Yesterday, we received news from quarantine zone number 3 that Secretary Li is dying. Zhang Shuquan said softly. The Secretary Li he was talking about was the secretary of the Beijiang Municipal Committee, Li Boxiong. He was the first person to come into contact with the infected people when the epidemic appeared. He was the first person in Beijiang who had vowed to live and die with the infected people in Beijiang. Now, he was about to fall. That's what he deserves. He was the first one to come into contact with the infected crowd. At that time, he earned a lot of attention. Serves him right now. Song Qing said loudly. I just saw on the internet that Yuan International and the Wu Castle Group have jointly developed a drug that can resist the plague. I've already contacted the relevant departments. The drug will be sent to Beijiang in the near future. When the time comes, a drug distribution meeting will be organized. If Beijiang can survive this crisis, my position will be yours, Shuquan. Zhang Shuquan shuddered. He had never dared to think about being promoted directly from the mayor's secretary to the mayor. However, now that the municipal committee secretary was about to die, the mayor would replace the municipal committee secretary. 2 of the other deputy mayors were by the municipal committee secretary's side. Whether or not they could survive this plague was still uncertain. He definitely had a chance. Thank you, Secretary Song. I'll go and contact the people about the drug first. Don't worry, I'll send the medical team to quarantine zone number 1. After Zhang Shuquan finished speaking, he ran downstairs. Guopai drove to a supermarket. A salesperson was listlessly watching the television in the supermarket. She did not care about Guopai's arrival at all. "Beauty, it's so quiet," Guopai said with a smile. However, the salesperson was still looking at the phone and did not look at Guopai at all. "Just take whatever you want. If you have the money, come and pay. If not, forget it. I can see that you're not a local. If you have the connections, quickly find a way to leave Beijing. If not, just find a clean place to stay," the salesperson said lazily when she saw that Guopai had no intention of leaving. "I'm a member of the medical team from the capital. We're here this time to understand the epidemic. However, when we went to the municipal hospital just now, there was no one at all. I wonder if you know why?" Guopai asked with a smile. "You should be the first, second, third, and fourth medical team to come here. The other 3 medical teams never came again after buying from me. They're probably in the quarantine zone. Let me give you a piece of advice. Your medical team should not go to the quarantine zone. If they go, there's a high chance that they won't be able to come out," the salesperson said lazily. "The television said that a big medical company has recently launched a special medicine. I wonder if it's effective. Sigh, Beijing deserves such things. Let's not talk about it. Since you're a member of the medical team, take whatever you need. It's free. Anyway, you can't sell it." After the salesperson finished speaking, she continued watching the television. Guopai did not ask any more questions. He took 2 boxes of mineral water and threw them in the car. "You haven't been resting well recently. These are some medicine I brought from the capital. You can try it." After Guopai finished speaking, he placed a jade box the size of a candy box on the table and turned to leave the supermarket. The girl was stunned at first. Then, her gaze fell on the words Bugyaku on the box. "He's really a member of the medical team. He's from the capital, Bugyaku. Could it be that Beijing can still be saved?" The girl took the pill skeptically. A refreshing feeling rushed into her mind. Ever since the outbreak of the epidemic in Beijing, the girl had never felt so comfortable. "Principal Guo, Mayor Song asked me to look for you just now. Look at what I've done. Did you guys go to the city hospital?" "Sigh, I forgot to tell you guys. There's no one in the city hospital. Everyone is in Beijing's Sifang City. There's a quarantine zone there. If your medical team wants to check the epidemic, you have to go there." Guopai returned to the municipal building and met Zhang Shuquan at the entrance. Zhang Shuquan said with a smile, "Sifang City?" Guopai narrowed his eyes and looked at Zhang Shuquan. This person did not look like a gentleman. However, Guopai did not intend to communicate with this guy. He drove back to the municipal hospital. "Boss, you said that all the infected people are in Sifang City? I just checked the situation in Sifang City on the internet. It's a ruin that was developed by a developer halfway. Why would they set up a quarantine zone there? If they really want to quarantine, wouldn't it be more convenient to do it in the municipal hospital?" Chao Qiankuan said softly as he looked at his laptop. Guopai shook his head lightly. Chao Qiankuan was right. If they really wanted to quarantine the infected people, they only needed to quarantine the municipal hospital. There was no need to go to the newly developed Sifang City in Beijing. However, Guofanyu's words reminded everyone. "I've encountered similar situations in some underdeveloped countries. If they discover that an infectious disease has appeared in their country, they will immediately gather the infected people in a fixed place. This place must be economically backward." Then, Guofanyu looked at the group of students and bit her lips. She did not continue. "Then send out troops to suppress them. Kill them all and burn down the entire city. This is the fastest way to eliminate the source of the infection, right?" Chen Jiadi narrowed his eyes and said. The group of students widened their eyes. Guopai looked at Guofanyu and she nodded lightly. Chapter 448. Guopai couldn't help but shake his head. Even the Tang dynasty thousands of years ago didn't do such a thing. Could it be that human development was regressing? Emperor Jia is right. In those underdeveloped places they use such a cruel method. Guofanyu said softly, but Beijiang shouldn't use such a method. There are already more than 1,000 infected people, and more than 10,000 people are suspected to be infected. Our country wouldn't do such a thing. Let's go. Let's go to Four Square City. If we can deal with this epidemic, nothing will happen, Guopai said softly, and the others nodded. On the way, Guopai told all the students about the things they needed to pay attention to in the quarantine area. Yaoshi and Xiaoxiao's determination surprised Guopai. The two people that Guopai was most worried about made him feel relieved. Remember, watch more, ask more, and remember more. Pay attention to your own safety. If there are any problems, come to me immediately. Guopai reminded the 6 students again. As for his aunt, Guopai wasn't worried. Even if his aunt was infected with the plague, the Shui Yunzi in her body would help her deal with it. When Guopai and the others arrived at Four Square City, it was already 7 o'clock in the evening. After communicating with the garrison, the 8 of them entered Quarantine Area 1. Another 8 people came to die. I really don't know what the higher-ups are thinking. Since they're going to give up on these people, why are they still letting good people in? A soldier said to another person beside him, as he watched Guopai and the others walk into the quarantine area. It's not up to us to care about this. Sai, if it's really like what the company commander said the other day, it's really a sin, a soldier said softly. One of the soldiers whispered. When Guopao heard their words, he turned to look at the 2 soldiers. It seemed like they would really deal with the quarantine zone like what his aunt had said. Little bad, things are worse than we thought. Guopai led the students to an open space to set up a tent. Guofanyu walked in from outside. Auntie, what's the situation? Guopai looked at Guofanyu and asked softly. There are more than 3,000 infected people. This is Quarantine Zone number 1. To the south of Four Corner City is Quarantine Zone number 2, and to the north is Quarantine Zone number 3. The total number of people in these 3 quarantine zones is over 100,000, Guofanyu said softly. The people from the Beijiang Municipal Committee still hid the epidemic, Guopai said softly. Things were indeed much worse than he had imagined. Don't go out tonight. Auntie, their safety is in your hands. I'll go out for a walk. There's water and instant noodles in the car. Find a way to make a fire and make something to eat. After Guopai finished speaking, he walked along a stone path to a building. A newcomer. Haha, another newcomer. The moment Guopai entered the building, a middle-aged man in a very bad state looked at Guopai and said loudly with a smile. He's really new, haha. Another man lying next to the middle-aged man sat up and said with a smile, Old C, this should be the 3,361st person. Give me your hand and tell me how your body feels. Guopai did not continue walking. He squatted next to the man called Old C and said softly, How do I feel? I feel how you feel. What else can I feel when I'm infected with the plague? I'm just waiting for death. Although Old C said that, he still subconsciously extended his right hand. You're not infected with the plague. When did you come in? After about 10 seconds, Guopai said softly. This man called Old C in front of him did not have any symptoms of the plague. Little brother, you're a doctor? I'm not infected? How can I not be infected? My symptoms were exactly the same as theirs at the beginning. But now, it should be the final radiance of the setting sun. I'm probably going to die soon, Old C said loudly as he panted heavily. I'm a doctor. You're not infected with the plague. Follow this path. Our medical team is on the other side. Tell them that Guopai asked you to come here. They'll help you do a systematic checkup, Guopai said softly. You're telling the truth? How can this be? I've been locked up here for almost 2 weeks. How can I not be infected with the plague? How can this be? Old C mumbled. Old C, you're not infected with the plague? That's really funny. How can you not be infected? Since you're not infected, I'll help you as your big brother. Since you're going out anyway, I'll let you have a good taste of this. Guapai wanted to stop him, but it was too late. The man lying on the ground bit Old C's arm, causing Old C to scream in pain. His arm was already bleeding. Haha, Old C, you don't have to worry anymore. You're definitely infected now. The man laughed and said, and you, stinking brat, you should be infected too. There's no cure for the plague that we're infected with. Is your medical team here to watch us die? As he spoke, the man rushed towards Guapai. People's hearts have changed. People like you shouldn't be living in this world. Guapai reached out a finger and tapped the man's head the moment the man fell on him. The man fell straight to the ground. Old C looked at the man lying on the ground. He wanted to scream, but he couldn't make a single sound. Go to the place I mentioned just now and tell them what happened to you. Stay there obediently. Whether you can survive or not depends on your luck. Guapai said and continued to walk inside. Old C nodded. He didn't know where he got the strength from after not eating for 2 days, but he strode towards the medical team. I'm a member of the medical team. I don't know if I can save you, but I need you to cooperate with me. Now line up and come to me one by one. Guapai walked into the hall, moved a table to the stairs, and said loudly to the 30 people inside. Medical team? How interesting. You're so young and you're a member of the medical team? Whose kid is this? Hurry up and take him away. We don't have time to play with you. A middle-aged man looked at Guapai and shouted. You had enteritis before the age of 30. You had an operation. Later, you had facial paralysis because of alcohol. Who else wants me to talk about your condition? Guapai said loudly. The middle-aged man was stunned. You know me? Are you really a doctor? The middle-aged man stammered as he walked to Guapai and asked softly. Give me your right hand. I want to take your pulse. Guapai said. The middle-aged man stretched out his right hand. Doctor, my name is Su Gang. I'm 47 years old this year. Can you see if I can still be saved? If I can't, please save my child. Su Bao, come here quickly. Su Gang said loudly. A young man who was about the same age as Guapai walked to Guapai. Tell me about your current situation. Su Bao, sit down and give me your right hand. Guapai said softly. At first, I just had a headache and a fever. It was no different from a common cold. Later, I felt that my joints were a little sore. Later, my joints were fine. I felt that my spine couldn't move. Until now, there is no pain, but I can't eat anything. Su Gang said softly. Su Bao, what are your symptoms now? Guapai asked Su Bao after taking his pulse. My limbs are starting to feel sore. Brother, are my father and I going to die? Su Bao said with a hint of despair. Things are not as bad as you think. I will try my best to save you. As for the final outcome, I can't guarantee. Chapter 449. Guapai's words were like a shot of adrenaline, causing the father and son of the Su family to show a hint of excitement. Doctor, just tell us what you need us to do, and we will do our best to cooperate with you, regardless of whether you can cure us in the end, Su Gang said excitedly. Guapao nodded his head lightly. He got Su Gang and Su Bao to communicate with the people in the hall, asking them to maintain order and come to him one by one. Hearing Su Gang's words, the group of people who had been tortured by the plague for several days and were waiting for death seemed to have grasped at the last straw of hope. They obediently lined up in a long line. Doctor, I know I've been infected with the plague. I've never done anything good in my life, but I've never done anything bad either. It doesn't matter if you save me or not, but please cure my son. He's only in his teens, and his life has just begun. A middle-aged man looked at Guapai with tears streaming down his face. The young man beside him was in a better state of mind, and he couldn't help but comfort his father. Guopai nodded slightly. The man in front of him was indeed not an evil person, but just as he said, he wasn't a kind person either. They had their selfishness, but in the face of death, they could still show their selflessness. This might be the power of the bloodline. I know that 2 medical teams have already come here, and they couldn't cure the plague. They are now infected like you. Although you've lined up, you don't believe that I can cure you, Guopai said softly. The people in the line nodded. Indeed, they were the first group of infected people at the entrance of Quarantine Zone 1, and they were the first to be contacted by the medical teams that came here before. The greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. They knew the current situation, and the fact that they lined up spontaneously was just to give themselves a little hope. I'm a doctor, and it's my first time facing such a plague. I can't guarantee that I can cure all of you, or even any one of you, but I'm a doctor, and I can guarantee that I'll be with you. I hope that if anyone in this room dies, don't panic. Even if I have to dispose of the bodies to prevent the plague from mutating, I'll do my best to help everyone. Guopai's voice was very penetrating. The people in the crowd nodded. This young man was different from the previous doctors. Guopai began to check everyone's pulse one by one, then asked about their condition. Then, he categorized the patients according to their current condition. Unfortunately, all 36 patients were infected, and there were no more fish in the net like Lao Si. Little Dr. Guopai, what should we do now? Su Gang walked to Guopai and asked softly. Take Su Bao and the 2 men over there with me. Follow me to our base to get the medicine. I don't know if it can slow down the onset of the illness, Guopai said in a low voice. Including the 2 men behind him, it was the first time that someone had walked out of the building in the past week. Boss, a patient came in just now. He said that you asked him to come. He's now in a separate tent. His wound has been treated, but he seems to be very nervous. Go and see him after you're done, Chen Jiati said softly when he saw Guopai coming back. All of you put on masks and give the masks you took from the hospital to the 4 of them. Then, give them 2 packs of the Chinese medicine I packed from Bugyaku, Guopai said to Chen Jiati, then turned to look at Su Gang. There's water in the building, so don't drink cold water anymore. Put this pack of medicine into this big container and boil it for 3 hours. Then, heat it up with a small fire. From today onwards, each of you will have a small cup of it every day. If there's anything, contact me through the walkie-talkie, Guopai said and threw the walkie-talkie to Su Gang. Su Gang took the walkie-talkie and brought the 3 of them back to the station. However, the situation was much worse than before. Dr. Xiaoguo, I don't know how the people upstairs found out about the medical team. There are about 200 people on the 1st floor now, and the things you gave have been taken away by them, Su Gang said loudly into the walkie-talkie. The other side of the walkie-talkie was noisy, and Guopai frowned. Xiao Xiao, record the time and symptoms of Lao Si. Qian Kuan, Emperor Jia, the 2 of you come with me. The rest of you stay here. If anyone dares to barge in, don't be courteous to them, Guopai said helplessly. He handed 2 laser guns to Su Tu and the rest and told them how to use them. Remember, don't use this unless you have no other choice. Guopai reminded them again. Let's go. The plague isn't scary. What's scary is the human heart. Second brother, I'm Lao Si. How are you and Ling Ling's preparations? When can the first batch of Chinese medicine be produced? Yes, I don't care what method you use. Gather 100,000 tubes for the first batch and send them to Beijing as soon as possible. Whether this plague can be controlled or not depends on you guys. Guopai held the satellite phone in his hand and said. There was no signal in the entire square city, and Guopai could only use this satellite phone. Chairman Kai, things are much worse than we thought. The second number Guopai dialed was Hua Xia's number, Kai Tianyang. Kai Tianyang, who had just finished a meeting, received a call from his secretary. After hearing Guopai's words, his face turned gloomy. It doesn't matter who you send now. I need you to contact the garrison's commander-in-chief and order everyone to lock down Beijiang. If there aren't enough people, transfer them from the surrounding areas. Also, tell the garrison here that if they dare to shoot and kill anyone, don't blame me for starting a massacre, Guo Pai said loudly. Kai Tianyang was shocked by Guo Pai's last sentence. Little bad, don't worry. I'll take care of things outside. However, how many people are infected in Beijiang? Do you have any accurate information? Kai Tianyang asked softly. There are more than 3,000 infected people and more than 100,000 suspected infected people. If this data is leaked, you know the consequences better than I do. There's one more thing. There's something wrong with the current mayor of Beijiang. Think of a way to solve it. Guo Pai hung up the phone. Master Xia, I am Guo Pao. Send Tyrannosaurus Rex to Beijiang. There is a problem with the garrison in Beijiang. I have already told Kai Tianyang about it. However, his speed is probably much slower than our Tyrannosaurus Rex group. By the time Guo Pai finished his third call, he had already walked to the entrance of the building. He could already see the situation inside clearly. People. That's right, they were all people. Little Dr. Guo, leave quickly. These people are crazy. Su Gang saw Guo Pai and the other two, and couldn't help but shout loudly. A group of people walked towards Guo Pai. We don't want to fight with Su Gang, but we want to receive equal treatment like them. I know you're a doctor. Please save us. A middle-aged man walked up to Guo Pai and said loudly. You don't want to fight, but you've already done it, Guo Pai said softly. How many people are in this building? Guo Pai looked at the middle-aged man and asked. There are more than 300 people in total. I don't know the exact number because people die every day. We don't want to die, the middle-aged man said loudly. Don't want to die? If you don't want to die, then listen to me. Guo Pai shouted loudly. Return the things you stole to Su Gang and return to your own place. This building has a total of 10 floors. Today, I'll go up one floor at a time. As for whether I can survive, I promise. Li Jun, I don't King believe this kid. Now that I've got the medicine, I'll take it myself. Once I'm done, I can leave this Sifang city. Before the middle-aged man could say anything, a slightly plump middle-aged man shouted loudly while holding the medicine that Guo Pai gave to Su Gang. Bang! The slightly plump man fell to the ground. A young man hit the man's head with a steel pipe and then reached out to grab the man's medicine bag. Uncle Xiang, I'm sorry. This medicine is mine. Before the young man could finish, the entire first floor was in chaos again. It's the human heart that's scary. Chapter 450. After a scuffle, the last pack of medicine was snatched away. At this time, the crowd stopped fighting and looked at Guo Pai and the other two not far away. They all squatted on the ground obediently. Dr. Guo Pai, old Su didn't do the task you gave him. Su Gang walked to Guo Pai and whispered. Guo Pao patted old Su on the shoulder and walked to the front of the crowd that had been fighting over it just now. Don't you want to die? Guo Pai asked softly. If you don't want to die, show me that you want to live. I'll give you 10 minutes to clean this place up quickly. There are 10 floors in this building. After 30 minutes, I want to know how many people are still alive in this building. How many children, women, and men are there? The children and women are on the lower floors, and the men are on the upper floors. If you want to live, then hurry up and do it. Don't show me such a pitiful look. No one will sympathize with the weak, and no one will sympathize with the dead. As soon as Guo Pai's voice fell, Su Gang called his son and ran upstairs. Before he left, he said, We'll go to the top 3 floors to count the number of people. Sun Jian, Zhou Ming, come with us. The 4 people disappeared at the top of the stairs. The people on the first floor began to busy themselves. Some people even began to deal with the dead bodies upstairs. The people who were snatching the medicine looked at each other and discussed for almost 3 minutes. The whole upstairs began to busy themselves according to Guopai's instructions. Guopai took a deep breath. There were more than 300 people in this building. According to the information he received, there were at least 10 such isolation areas in this building. If they were all like this building, he would be busy for a few days to stabilize the emotions of the infected people. Time, what he lacked most now was time. Dr. Guo, the people have been counted. In this building, there are a total of 73 children under the age of 14. Excluding the children, there are 143 men and 91 women. We have carried out a total of 24 bodies, all of which are outside. The hygiene of each floor has been roughly cleaned. It may still be a little dirty, Su Gang said with sweat all over his head. According to what I told you earlier, boil this medicine and let the children and women drink it first. Those who are in a more serious condition drink it first. I don't know if this medicine can keep the disease from worsening, but I hope it will work. Guopai handed Su Gang a packet of Chinese medicine. This time, no one came forward to fight for it. The water in the pot was already boiling. Emperor Jia, go and check the pulses of all the women. Qian Kuan, go and check the pulses of the children. Remember their pulses and divide them into groups according to their priority. We don't have much time, Guopai said softly. Chen Jiadi and Chao Qiankuan went upstairs. Among these women and children, some are your relatives and some are not. However, I hope that you can let them be treated first. The plague in the northern frontier is very serious. I don't know if we can save the northern frontier in the end, but saving them is equivalent to giving the northern frontier hope. I hope you can understand, Guopao said softly. Clap, clap, clap. As Guopai's voice fell, a man in the corner of the first floor clapped his hands. Everyone's eyes fell on the man. You are Secretary Li Boxiong? Someone in the crowd suddenly recognized the man and couldn't help but laugh and ask. There is no Li Boxiong here. I am the sinner of the north. In the beginning, I concealed the epidemic in the north, which led to the current situation. I deserve to die, Li Boxiong said loudly. You are right. You are indeed guilty, but you can't die now. At least, you are much better than the mayor of the north and that secretary's song. Guopai said with a smile. A few people who followed Li Boxiong into the quarantine area nodded. With the secretary of the municipal party committee, it was much more convenient for Guopai to understand the situation in the north. What did you say? The northernmost part of the 4-square city is not sealed. There is a mountain there? Guopai was stunned when he heard Li Boxiong's words. In the beginning, he also noticed the northernmost part of the 4-square city, but he didn't expect it to not be sealed. They had underestimated these people who had sentenced themselves to death. Little brother, I'm sorry. I didn't stand properly just now. Just as Guopai and Li Boxiong were chatting, something happened to Chen Jiadi on the second floor. When he was taking the pulse of a 17-year-old girl, the girl didn't stand properly. Chen Jiadi reached out to pull her, and her nails scratched Chen Jiadi's arm. Emperor Jia, what happened to your arm? Just as Chen Jiadi walked down the stairs, Guopai's gaze fell on his arm. Chen Jiadi followed Guopai out of the building and told Guopai what happened upstairs. Emperor Jia, aren't you afraid? Guopai narrowed his eyes and looked at the guy in front of him who was a few years older than him. They had been in Bugyaku for 2 years, but in the end, he was just a 20-year-old boy. Guopai knew that he was taking a risk by bringing them to the epidemic area. Boss, I'm a doctor from Bugyaku. Our head is the great Dr. Guopai. What do I have to be afraid of? Chen Jiadi said softly. The epidemic is different from other diseases. I can't guarantee that I can cure you this time. Guopai shook his head and said, when you reach the base, stay separately from them. Tell them about your situation directly. Take this pill. I hope it will be useful. Chen Jiadi nodded, but he didn't put the pill into his mouth. Guopai shook his head gently. Chen Jiadi, what a Chen Jiadi! He didn't misjudge him. This was what a doctor should be like. At night, Guapai stood on a high hill and looked at the flickering lights of the buildings. There were more than 100,000 people in this place, and they were suspected to be infected. How could there be any suspected infected people? Lao Si was definitely an exception. To put it bluntly, the 100,000 suspected infected people were the people in the early stages of the epidemic. They would become infected very soon. Once that happened, Four Corner City would be in chaos. Little Bad, you're not sleeping? Guapai and Guafanyu weren't sleeping either. When Guapai was standing on the high hill, Guafanyu had already walked over. No, Auntie. You should rest early. The longer we delay, the greater the danger to our base. At that time, we will need you to protect a few students, Guapai said softly. You came back in a hurry, so I didn't get the chance to ask you. Aren't you going to tell me about my situation? Guafanyu looked into the distance and asked. Guapai turned his head and looked at his auntie. Could it be that Shryunzi had communicated with his auntie? That shouldn't be the case. Shryunzi wouldn't dare to tell him that he had taken over his body. Otherwise, there would be a problem with his body and he would be done for. What did the Angel Council and the Dark Vatican do to me? Why did I fight with you? Guafanyu asked softly. Guapai smiled and sat on the high hill. He began to tell his auntie about her situation. It was fine as long as it had nothing to do with Shryunzi. You are not my little nephew, Guafanyu said softly. Guapai didn't refute. But now I really hope that you are my nephew. You will be able to deal with this plague, right? Just tell me what you need me to do. I will do my best to help you. After Guafanyu finished speaking, she directly walked down the high hill. Guapai gently nodded. He didn't know if yesterday's Chinese medicine would be effective tomorrow. There was also his second brother's Chinese medicine processing. He hoped that it would buy him some time. Little Bad, we are here. Your little monkey insisted on bringing the 6 big guys with him, so I brought them with me. Now, do you need us to enter the epidemic area? Chapter 451. The next morning, when the sun had just risen, Guapao's phone rang. Xing Tian said loudly on the other end of the phone. Guapao's face was filled with black lines. Boss, this is a plague. Why is everyone so excited when they hear it? Brother Xing, take the brothers from the T-Rex group to guard the southernmost mountain in Beijiang. Don't let anyone walk out of Sifang City. Ask Futaba and Huda to come to me directly. Give them money. When they come, ask them to buy something from the supermarket in Beijiang. Don't let Futaba touch the car. Let Huda and the rest carry the things. Buy as much as possible, Guapai said with a smile. After hanging up the phone, Guapai led Chen Jiadi and Chao Qiankuan to the first building. Yesterday, Chao Qiankuan came back very late. Everyone in the building should have taken Chinese medicine. It was just unknown how effective it was. Boss, someone died again, Chao Qiankuan said softly. Just as they walked to the front of the building, there were 2 more bodies next to the deep pit that they dug last night. We'll go in later. Emperor Jia and I will check on his condition. You go find Li Buxiong and see if the bodies that were carried out yesterday have any relative. We have to burn the bodies today, Guapai said softly. The 3 of them had already walked into the building. Dr. Gua, 2 people who were infected early this morning died. Su Gang walked to Guapai and said. Guapai nodded gently and gestured for Su Gang to sit down. Then, he began to take Su Gang's pulse. After that, he called Su Bao over. Then, he took the pulses of the patients who were infected at different times. Guapai walked out of the building and looked at the 2 bodies on the ground. He didn't say a word. Guapai looked at Chen Jiadi walking out of the house and handed a pill to Chen Jiadi. You gave the pill I gave you to the girl who scratched you yesterday, right? See if her condition can be controlled in the next 2 days. Take this pill, Guapai said softly as he looked at Chen Jiadi walking out of the house. Boss, the situation isn't good. I remembered that the patient's pulses yesterday were very bad. It seems that our Chinese medicine didn't work, Chen Jiadi said softly. Guopai nodded gently. Guopai looked at the building. Since he was banished from the heavenly court, this was the first time he felt powerless. Plague, damned plague. Even with his abilities, he couldn't do anything about it. The formation could be set up, but so what? Plague, to put it simply, was a punishment from heaven. To be specific, it was a punishment. God's punishment. It was a punishment from heaven. To be specific. In the human worlds. The human world. How? Thinking about it, Guopai couldn't help but shake his head. Heaven's punishment was also a gift from heaven. If he could get rid of this plague, it would be a great merit. With this merit, he wouldn't be struck by lightning even if he ascended to the heavenly realm. But if he couldn't even keep his life, then what was the use of this merit? Chao Qiankuan found the family members of the deceased. Guopai gave them a few simple instructions. After all, it was impossible to cremate them one by one. It was impossible to separate the ashes. Guopai chanted a sutra and asked Chao Qiankuan to bring the family members into the building. Then, a flame fell from his fingertip into the big pit. The corpses in the pit were set ablaze. In less than 10 seconds, 26 corpses turned into white ashes. Guopai felt a trace of merit entering his body. Then, he shook his head again. Although there were still people dying, the people in the building didn't lose their confidence. When Guopai walked into the building, they would still smile at Guopai and ask about their condition. Guopai seriously explained their situation to everyone. It was already noon. Guopai returned to the camp. Futaba and the others should be arriving soon. He just happened to have something to give them. Guopao walked up to the high hill of the campsite. Looking at the 6 hills that were slowly moving towards him, he couldn't help but reveal a smile. That's right. There were 6 people. On the highest hill sat a monkey. The 6 people were slowly moving towards them. My lord, we are here. After you left that day, Lord Yu told us to find you. But we didn't know where the northern borderline was, so we could only follow Xing Tian and the others. Futaba saw that Guopai was alone and directly spoke in human language. Guopai didn't feel uncomfortable. I asked Xing Tian to buy the things you wanted. See if it's enough. Mao Tu whispered. When the 6 men arrived at the base, a few students had already begun to unload their belongings. The items that the 6 men were carrying caused the students' eyes to widen. Mao Tu hugged the items that they were carrying. It would be a waste if they didn't use them. Who wouldn't use them if they didn't use them? They almost emptied a small supermarket in the city. Boss, are these 6 people still human? Each of them carried at least a ton of things. Why didn't they participate in the Olympics? Chen Jiadi walked to Guopai and said softly. However, before Guopai said anything to Chen Jiadi, the little monkey looked at Chen Jiadi uncomfortably and squeaked in Guopai's ear. Emperor Jia, I'll tell you later. You don't have to help. If you need anything, ask Qiankuan to find it for you. Guopai said with a smile. This was the first time Guopai smiled so happily after entering the epidemic area. Chen Jiadi didn't ask any more questions and walked down the hill. Only Futaba and Guopai were left on the hill. Futaba, you can feel that Emperor Jia is infected, right? Guopai looked at Futaba and asked with a smile. Yes, he gives me a very uncomfortable feeling. Also, when I first arrived here, I felt uncomfortable. The few of them felt the same. If there's nothing else, let's leave this place. It's better to stay in the capital, the little monkey said to Guopai. Futaba, you should know how I treat you. Take this elixir. Guopai didn't say much. He took out a 7-colored elixir and handed it to Futaba. Futaba was completely different from other Xian beasts. It didn't have any problems secretly taking the form transformation elixir in the treasure room. It could easily absorb such an elixir. Futaba didn't stand on ceremony. It took the elixir and put it into its mouth. Then, it jumped up and down on Guopai happily. I've given you the benefits. Now I need you to lead the 6 of them to help me do something big. If this is done well, we can quickly return to the capital, Guopai said with a smile. Futaba looked at Guopai. He didn't immediately agree to Guopai's request. Although Guopai was smiling, it made Futaba feel uncomfortable. After a while, Guopai saw what Futaba was thinking. He sighed to himself. This 6-eared macaque's bloodline was not ordinary. It's not dangerous for you guys. It's just a small matter, Guopai said with a smile. Futaba nodded. You guys know Old Xiao and Old Li, follow their auras and find them. Then, lead them to the place where you feel the most uncomfortable. When you get there, leave everything to the 2 old men. Can you do this? Guopai said with a smile. Futaba nodded. Naturally, they had lunch together. Guopao asked a few of the big guys to do the hard work again. They took out some of the food they brought and sent it to Block 1. He couldn't care less about the other places. His priority was to find the source of the disease. The food was easy to deal with. After the big men finished what Guopai told them to do, they all left with Futaba. Guopai wasn't worried that the disease would spread to them. According to his years of experience, the disease had never infected a Xian beast before. With them helping him find the source of the disease, Guopai could put all his effort into researching a cure. The formula he gave to Jia Yuan could help increase the immunity of those who weren't infected. But it turned out that the people who were already infected couldn't use the medicine. The medicine that was supposed to be sent to Beijiang by Jia Yuan was sent to the cities around Beijiang. Special medicine. He had to create a special medicine that could slow down the spread of the disease. Then, he could slowly solve the problem. Everything seemed to be going well. Chapter 452. Boss, 3 deaths today. After staying at the base for a while in the morning, Chen Jiadi walked back to the base and whispered to Guopai when he was about to head to Block 1. Another 3 deaths. How are the others in Block 1? Guopai asked softly. If this continued, it would be even more difficult to deal with the situation once the people started to panic. Everyone is still calm because we have people coming over every day. The situation isn't too bad, but… Chen Jiadi wanted to say something but he swallowed his words. But if we can't control the deaths, the people will panic, won't they? Guopai shook his head and said. It was lucky that they didn't riot after 3 consecutive deaths. Chen Jiadi nodded after hearing Guopai's words. Let's go and take a look at building number 1. I've concocted a few more herbs in the past 2 days. Let's try them first. Hopefully they will have some effect. After Guopao finished speaking, he led Chen Jiadi to building number 1 again. Su Gang, do you think Dr. Guo can cure us? People are dying every day for the past few days. The medicine we take doesn't work at all. In Block 1, a few middle-aged men surrounded Su Gang and asked softly. I don't know. But the medical team comes over every day. They definitely haven't given up on us. Let's wait and see. We're just waiting for death anyway, Su Gang said softly and the others nodded. I'm not drinking it. This medicine is too disgusting. I'm not drinking it. I'll die anyway. A young man suddenly stood up and shouted. The people who were about to drink the medicine with him looked at each other and put their cups on the ground. Guopai shook his head gently. What he was worried about had happened. Su Gang and the others stood up when they saw Guopai walking over. However, because of the young man's words, some of them looked at Guopai differently. This is the medicine I concocted recently. Let the people who are in the later stage of the infection take it first. The dosage for the children is halved. Wash the previous medicine before boiling, Guopai said softly. Su Gang took the medicine and nodded. Uncle Su, he's a liar. Don't believe him. He can't cure us at all. I'm not drinking this medicine. I'm not drinking any medicine in the future, the young man shouted and the crowd behind him started to discuss. Dr. Guo is not a liar. Look at me. I was sent here with the 2 people who died today. At that time, my condition was even worse than theirs. Look at me now. I'm much better, a girl stood up and said loudly. Chen Jiadi nodded gently to the girl. Guo Pai suddenly understood what was going on. Chen Jiadi gave the pill to the girl, which meant that the pill he gave Chen Jiadi worked. However, he was just excited. Guo Pai's face sank again. The pill he gave Chen Jiadi was not expensive, but it was unrealistic to refine it in large quantities. The biggest difference between pills and medicine was Samadhi true fire. Guo Pai was probably the only person in the world who could use Samadhi true fire. The girl's words made the group of people widen their eyes. Many people knew this beautiful girl. When she entered the building, her condition was indeed much worse than it was now. This also meant that Guo Pai's medicine was effective. The group of people became energetic again. Everyone, let's boil the medicine first. Everyone's physique is different. I can't guarantee that the effect will be the same, Guo Pai said softly, and the group of people nodded. Emperor Jia, let the girl follow us back to the base. Go to the base and help out a little. After Guo Pai finished speaking, he walked out of building number 1. Building number 1 became busy again. Xiao Qing, let's go. Follow us to the base. I said before that boss can definitely cure you, Chen Jiadi said excitedly. He pulled Xiao Qing and quickly followed Guo Pai. Take this elixir. Don't give it to her. It won't work even if she takes it again. Guo Pai looked at Chen Jiadi and said softly. After we return to the base, make 2 portions of the medicine you take each time. 1 for each of you. The elixir can only temporarily suppress the plague. It can't solve the root cause. We have to continue thinking of other ways, Guo Pai said softly. Then, he was stunned by the scene on a building not far away. It was on fire. About 50 meters away from building number 1, black smoke was coming out from the 80 to 90 floors of an unfinished building. Guo Pai could see people jumping down from the 10th floor. Guo Pai couldn't help but shake his head. He had to think of a way to control the plague and let all the infected and suspected infected people calm down. Otherwise there would be chaos. 3 days later, Guo Pai asked Su Tu and Chen Jiadi to follow him to the building behind to distribute the medicine. However, the situation on the other buildings was much worse than building number 1. There were fights, drinking, and even all kinds of sexual assault. Guo Pai felt more and more uneasy. He could feel that if the medicine that had been modified 3 times still didn't have any obvious effect, these people wouldn't be able to hold themselves back. Su Tu, what's going on over there? Isn't that the suspected infected area? Why did they open the gate? Guo Pai looked at Su Tu and asked as he looked at the empty space where the iron net had been pulled up 100 meters away. There was now a large hole in the open space. Every Saturday they will spontaneously send people they think are infected to the quarantine area. However, it seems that there are people in the suspected infected area who heard that medicine was being distributed here. Recently, there have been more and more people coming to the quarantine area to get medicine, Su Tu said softly. We don't have enough people. I don't know when Elder Chiu and the others will be able to find the source of the plague. If they can't find that thing, the disaster is just beginning, Guo Pai couldn't help but say. Su Tu nodded. Sir, we found the place that made us feel the most uncomfortable. Elder Chiu and Elder Li are standing guard over there. They asked me to inform you. Just as Guo Pai and Su Tu were chatting, Futaba rushed to Guo Pai's side. He didn't care that Su Tu was in front of him and said excitedly, Futaba, you've done well this time. Guo Pai was overjoyed when he heard Futaba's words. They had found the source of the plague and dealt with it first. At least, they could ensure that the plague wouldn't spread widely. This way, everything would be much easier. Boss, this monkey can talk? Su Tu looked at Futaba with wide eyes. What's wrong with a talking monkey? Su Tu, there are many things you don't know. I'll tell you slowly in the future. After saying this, Guopai pulled Su Tu up. He ignored the shocked Su Tu and flew up on his sword. Su Tu shouted loudly. The little monkey looked at the human with disdain. Around 3 minutes later, under the little monkey's guidance, Guopai and the others stopped outside a cave at the top of the mountain. Little Bad, you've done well. Futaba and Tiger De saved us a lot of effort. The thing you're looking for should be inside. However, with your current strength, going in is suicide, Chiu Shirshin said softly as he watched Guopai fly over on his sword. Seniors, you two are experienced and knowledgeable. What should we do about this? What methods do you two have? Don't hide them, Guopai said softly as he looked at Chiu Daoyuan and Li Shirshin. The source of the plague is also known as the source of evil. If you can get rid of it, you will naturally be able to obtain great merit. I believe you know about this. However, it seems that no one has ever succeeded in getting rid of the source of evil since ancient times. However, I remember that during the plague 10,000 years ago, before Old Li and I were sealed, a genius appeared in the heaven realm. He came up with an excellent way to deal with the source of evil. What method? Chapter 453. Guopai chatted with Chioli and the other two. Su Tu, who came with Guopai on his flying sword, had vomited for a long time. At this time, he also pricked up his ears to listen to Chiu Deyuan's explanation of how to deal with the plague. Everything in the world has yin and yang. This origin of evil is an item of extreme yin. If you want to deal with it, you must take out an item of extreme yang. Back then, that guy called Daoist Longhua seemed to have obtained 9 dragon eyes in the myriad dragon domain and directly sealed the origin of evil. This is the best way to deal with the origin of evil that we have seen back then. If you also have such an item, dealing with the origin of evil will be a piece of cake. Cough, cough, cough. Elder Chiu, why don't you say that after this kid's strength reaches the Tao affirmation realm, I will be able to deal with the origin of evil with a wave of my hand? Guopai whispered. 9 dragon eyes, and dragon eyes from the myriad dragon domain. Even when he was in the heavenly court back then, he didn't dare to go to the myriad dragon domain to ask for dragon eyes. Chiu Daoyuan and Li Shirshin helplessly shook their heads. There were other ways to deal with the origin of evil, but with the strength of these people, it was impossible to deal with the origin of evil. I can't wait. I have to go in and see what the origin of evil is. Guopai thought for a while, then suddenly stood up and said, Huda, I need you to go in with me. At least we can take care of each other. Little Bad, you can't go in. Huda and the others can't go in either. Although they won't be infected by the plague outside, they will definitely die if they go in. Guopai's voice had just faded when Guofanyu walked to a place 10 meters away from them. Auntie, why are you here? Guopai walked towards Guofanyu and couldn't help but ask. There was only one reason for Guofanyu to say this, and that was because Shui Yunzi told her about the origin of evil. Kid, you promised me that you would let me out. Now that you want to go in and throw away your life, I naturally won't agree. A sound transmission entered Guopai's mind. Who else could it be but Shui Yunzi? Senior, you are the ancestor of water. This plague is related to the common people of the world. I don't know if Senior has any good methods. If not, this kid must go in and take a look. Otherwise, if the world is really in misery, the karma that Wu Xiu will bear will definitely trap me in the mortal world. Guopai said. If you want to go in, I'll go with you. You have a lot of treasures on you. You can try to seal him. Although you can't completely destroy him, it's definitely possible to seal him for 10,000 years. By then, you might have already flown to the heavenly realm and asked for a few dragon eyes. It's not impossible to completely suppress him, Shui Yunzi said softly. Seal it for 10,000 years? Senior said softly. I am only at the peak of the core formation stage. It is impossible for me to seal the origin of evil for 10,000 years. Guopai shook his head and said, Hee, don't you still have me? Of course, if you want to seal the origin of evil, you have to contribute something. Shui Yunzi said with a smile. What do I need? I don't have anything with me. Guopai said softly. Yin-Yang Twin Life Jade. As long as you are willing to contribute that pair of Yin-Yang Twin Life Jade, I have full confidence that I can seal the origin of evil. Then you can deal with the plague in front of you much easier. Of course, this depends on whether you are willing to contribute that pair of Yin-Yang Twin Life Jade. If it were me, this old man wouldn't be willing. Let's not delay. Let's go in now. I got this pair of Yin-Yang Twin Life Jade. If it can save the world, I don't mind taking it out. Guopai said with a smile and walked straight to Qiu Daoyuan and the others. Boss, you said you want to go in with Aunt Fanyu? No, this won't do. How about this, I will go in with you. Aunt Fanyu can wait outside. Uncle Qiu, Uncle Li, you two say something. You can't let boss take the risk like this. Su Tu said loudly. Be careful. I will guard you outside. If you can deal with the origin of evil, little you, your merit will be heaven-defying. Qiu Daoyuan said with a smile. Li Shixin nodded. Guopai said a few words to Futaba, and the 6 big men nodded. Guopai took out a pill and put it in his mouth. He turned and entered the cave with Guofanyu. Senior, you promised me that day that you would not occupy my aunt's divine sense. You have broken your promise. After entering the cave, Guopai felt a trace of cold air. Seeing that his aunt was not uncomfortable at all, he couldn't help but say, Kid, I did not occupy your aunt's divine sense. The two of us are separated. I did not affect her in the slightest. If you don't believe me, you can ask your aunt. Shui Yunzi said with a smile. At this time, his aunt turned to look at him. Little Bad, I have already said that you are not my nephew. No matter how outstanding Little Bad is, how can you compare to Big Brother Heaven? But now I really hope that you are my good nephew. Cough, cough, cough. Aunt, I just had a fortuitous encounter. If I am not your nephew, who else can I be? You should know the current situation. You have someone even more powerful than the heavenly Jade Emperor in your body. You will be fine. Guopai said with a smile. Guopai did not expect that the second person in the world to believe that he was a deity would be Guofanyu. Kid, take out all the things you showed off a few days ago. The 5 elements primordial umbrella and the fire cloud demon slaying painting are both good things. They can resist the filthy aura here. Shui Yunzi reminded. Guopai nodded and opened an umbrella-like thing with bells hanging on it. Guopai took a deep breath and felt much more comfortable. After walking for about 30 minutes, Guopai felt all the bells on the 5 elements primordial umbrella ring. Guopai slowly put away the primordial umbrella. He had never seen the origin of evil before, but he had heard people say that it had intelligence. It probably already knew of Guopai's existence. Ha 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 ha, someone actually found this place. Ha 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 ha. A burst of laughter suddenly came from the cave. Guopai and Guofanyu stopped at the same time. Come on in. We are already at the entrance. Why don't you come in? It was a man's voice just now, but now it was a woman's voice. It was incomparably coquettish. Guopai took a deep breath and steadied his mind. However, he had no intention of continuing forward. Hee, big brother, big sister, come on in. Welcome to our home. A child's voice came. Senior, you are experienced and knowledgeable. What should we do now? Guopai asked through voice transmission. I didn't think that the origin of evil could speak. Little Bad, this is troublesome. Shui Yunzi softly said. Shui Yunzi said softly, go in. We've already come this far and there's no turning back. If there's any danger, I can sense it. There's a pool inside. If you can't beat him, jump into the water and find a way to lure him into the pool. You have the water repellent pearl on you and I'll be underwater. Dealing with him will be easy. Guopai and Shui Yunzi exchanged a few words. Then, the two of them walked forward. A woman was lying on a stone bed. She was wearing a white dress, revealing some parts of her body that were indescribably coquettish. The woman looked at Guopai and said softly, "I didn't think it would be such a handsome guy. What business do you have with me?" "Of course I'm here to look for Big Sister Beauty. Big Sister caused such a big commotion, so I naturally had to come and take a look." Chapter 454. Guofanyu looked at the woman on the stone bed and did not say anything. The woman stared at Guopai and did not pay any attention to him. Guopai looked fine on the surface, but his palms were sweating. The two were in a stalemate for 3 minutes. "Ha ha ha ha, good boy, you are not charmed by me. But I don't know why you came to my mansion with such fanfare." The woman on the stone bed suddenly turned into a man. He was bare-chested and wore a huge pair of underpants. Compared to the world's bodybuilders, his body was not inferior. Although it is said that good and evil cannot coexist since ancient times, but seeing your excellency, I do not have the slightest intention to fight with you. I only hope that your excellency can stop. You have nothing to worry about in this cave. Why do you want to harm people? Guopai narrowed his eyes and said, "Ha ha ha ha, boy, I went to harm people? Who did I harm? Which eye of yours saw me going to harm people?" The man laughed heartily and asked, "As for you guys, let's not talk about the 6 Xian beasts outside and the 2 fellows that even I can't see through. You and the woman beside you aren't easy to deal with. Yet, you're here to harm me." As his voice fell, a powerful pressure fell on Guopau's body. "We don't have the ability to harm you. We just want to make a deal with you. I don't know if you like this pair of yin-yang twin jade," Guopai said, and directly took out 2 pieces of yin-yang twin jades from the gourd. The originally powerful pressure disappeared by more than half. "How is that possible? 10,000 years ago, I transformed into a physical body and searched the human world for nearly 10,000 years. It is impossible for me not to sense such a good thing." The source of evil roared, "Boy, what kind of deal do you want to make? You can take out a pair of twin jade. You do have the capital to bargain with me. But don't play any tricks. I am much better than you in terms of despicable means." As soon as his voice fell, the man turned into the appearance of a child and stared at Guopai with his big eyes. "Now is the time. Activate the twin life jade and use the transcendent artifacts on you to set up a formation. I'll guard the Qian position and find a way to force this brat into the water. Then I'll seal this pool." Just as the man turned into a child, Master Shui Yunzi loudly transmitted his voice. Guopai didn't hesitate and directly threw the twin life jade at the child. "Take the twin life jade first. As for what I want to talk to you about? Haha, of course I want to kill you. You've caused such a huge commotion. If I let you continue, the world will be plunged into misery and suffering. Since ancient times, good and evil have never coexisted. Die!" Guopai roared. With the twin life jades in front and himself behind, he directly charged at the child. "Human, you're cheating. You human warlocks are the same as before. But you're too weak. I'll kill you. The twin life jade is mine. Everything on you is mine. And this woman, haha, I haven't tasted a woman for tens of thousands of years." Child, woman, man, the source of evil continuously changed its body. Guopai brought out the Devil Slayer sword. However, it seemed that he didn't have the upper hand. If it weren't for the formation set up by the transcendent artifacts, Guopai would have already been defeated by the source of evil. Human nature is evil. Otherwise, I wouldn't have used only tens of thousands of years to transform back into my true body. You think you're Buddha? You want to deliver all living beings from suffering? Haha, if I could deliver all living beings from suffering, I would have become a Buddha long ago. Die, die. The source of evil roared and grabbed the Devil Slayer sword in Guopai's hand. Guopai was shocked. This guy was much stronger than he had imagined. Jump into the pool and bring out the water avoidance bead. If he dares to follow, leave the rest to me, Shui Yunzi said loudly. Guopai directly jumped into the pool. You think I can't deal with you just because you're in the water? Today, I'll definitely suck you dry. Wu Xiu tastes much more delicious than ordinary people. Haha. The source of evil took the form of a man and jumped into the water. Now is the time. I just sensed this pool. It's at least 100 meters deep. It's enough. It's enough to seal a good-for-nothing source of evil like you. Shui Yunzi said loudly. Just as Shui Yunzi was about to borrow Guofanyu's body to set up the formation, Guofanyu's spiritual sense took the initiative. Guofanyu, what are you doing? Hurry up and lend me your body. I need to set up the formation, otherwise it will be too late. Shui Yunzi hastily shouted. Senior Shui, if you set up the formation, what will happen to Little Bad? He's still inside the pool. If you set up the formation, Little Bad won't be able to come out, Guofanyu said softly. Since I'm going to set up the formation, I naturally have a way to get Guopai out. Hurry up and give me your body. Anything can happen if you delay. Master Shui Yunzi shouted. Guofanyu nodded lightly and handed over control of her body to Master Shui Yunzi. Humans! Despicable humans! You dare play tricks? The origin of evil sensed a powerful pressure at the entrance of the pool that was about to seal the pool. It hurriedly gave up on chasing after Guopao and prepared to rush out of the pool. However, it was already too late. The heavenly water god sealing formation was the formation that Shui Yunzi was most proud of. Not to mention trapping the origin of evil, even when he set up formations with experts who had reached the 11th heavenly layer, very few people were able to break through his heavenly water god sealing formation. Back then, the person who suffered a loss in his formation was the 11th heavenly layer Great War god Wu Gang. Guopai, can you hear what I'm saying? The formation has been activated and I can't control it forever. Count yourself lucky. Today, I'll teach you the method of setting up this formation. Listen well, I'll teach you the heavenly water god sealing formation first. Comprehend it well and don't worry about the outside world. A month inside the formation is only a day outside. When you can get out of the pool is up to you. As Shui Yunzi spoke, the heavenly water god sealing formation was transmitted into Guopai's mind. Damn, you're worthy of being the ancestor of water. You can actually use water to such an extent. Amazing, truly amazing. Guopai couldn't help but exclaim after reading the heavenly water god sealing formation. Under the pool, with the help of the water avoidance pearl, he set up an isolation formation. The source of evil tried to attack Guopai a few times before giving up. Since all Daos were of the same origin, Guopao was quite knowledgeable in the study of formations. After staying in the heavenly water god sealing formation for 1 month and 7 days, he began to try to control the formation. Outside, Shui Yunzi couldn't help but nod. This mind-reading true monarch was indeed a promising talent. Break for me! Guopai roared and jumped out of the pool. The source of evil glared at the 3 people standing next to the pool and charged at the pool once more. Unfortunately, the formation didn't change at all. Senior, I'll accept this formation. As long as I can find a suitable body, I'll definitely help you get out. Furthermore, I can guarantee that you won't attract heavenly lightning. I'll let you enjoy yourself in the mortal world, said Guopai with a smile. It's your fortune to be able to seal the source of evil. Now you'll have to rely on yourself. Although the source of evil has been sealed, if you want to obtain this heaven-defying merit, you'll have to deal with this plague. Otherwise, the great karma will also fall on you, said Shui Yunzi with a smile. As Guopao and the other 2 walked out, Shui Yunzi was once again shocked by Guopao's performance. Every 100 meters, Guopao would set up a formation. Not to mention the strength of each formation, when they finally reached the entrance of the cave, More than 100 formations were activated at the same time. Yang Jian and Wu Gang would probably be trapped inside the cave, and it would take them some effort to get out. Boss, I have good news and bad news. Which one do you want to hear first? Chapter 455. As soon as Guopai came out of the cave, he saw Su Tu quickly walking towards him. Good news and bad news. Damn it, I worked so hard to get good news. It's only been a day and you gave me bad news. Then I'll listen to the bad news first. However, before Guopai could speak, Su Tu began to speak. Boss, let me tell you the good news first. The production line of the great doctors has started to produce Chinese medicine in batches. Because of the support of the government, from the raw materials to the final product, Chinese medicine will be popularized in China in about a week. Su Tu said excitedly. Bad news, good news. I want to know what's the bad news you're talking about. Did something happen in the quarantine area? Guopai frowned and said. He had a bad feeling since he came out of the cave. Boss, some people ran out from the back of the mountain. We don't know how many people ran out, but we haven't found any infected people in other places, Su Tu said softly. Damn it, isn't the back of the mountain guarded by Brother Xing? How could this happen? Give me the phone, I'll call Xing Tian, Guopai shouted. Bad news, it was really bad news. Boss, Brother Xing said that there were nearly 10,000 people running towards the back of the mountain. Unless we kill them all, we can't stop them. A few people from the T-Rex group were also scratched by the suspected infected people, but they haven't been infected yet, Su Tu continued. Elder Chiu, elderly, take care of Su Tuesday. I'll go first. After saying that, Guopai directly flew towards the base on his sword. As soon as he reached the sky above the base, he saw a black mass of people. Guopai frowned again. It's only been a day, how could such a situation happen? Everyone be quiet. The herbs are limited now, but our master has gone out to find a way. He will definitely not give up on anyone. Everyone be quiet. Chen Jiati shouted. However, the group of people had already surrounded the base tightly. No one wanted to retreat. We don't care. Why can the infected people in the quarantine zone get the medicine but we can't? Also, those soldiers in the back of the mountain. You want to trap us here until we die? We want to get the treatment now. Immediately. Someone in the crowd shouted. If you want to live, then go back to where you are. If you want to die, then continue to surround this place. Guopai flew down from the sky and shouted at the people surrounding the base. Who are you? We want to see the person in charge here. We want Chinese medicine, the same Chinese medicine that the infected people drink. A middle-aged man who was leading the group shouted. I'm Guopai. I'm the one who provided the prescription. I can tell you. I can help you with your illness. I have already found the most effective treatment method. You will affect everyone's treatment if you stay here, Guopai shouted. The people surrounding the base looked at each other, but no one wanted to leave. There were people dying in the infected area every day. They were afraid. They were more afraid than the people in the infected area. I'm telling you, some of you ran outside. If there's a large-scale epidemic outside, I'll give up on the treatment here. You want to live, and I want you to live, but the main premise is that you cooperate. If you don't cooperate, I'll choose to save those who cooperate with me, Guopao said loudly again. The people surrounding the base started to panic. Yes, they did delay the medical team's treatment. They were in the wrong first. I'm telling you one last thing. Hurry up and find out the information of the people who ran outside. Otherwise, if there is an epidemic outside, whatever happens in the end will be your responsibility. After Guopai finished speaking, the crowd dispersed. Boss, you're finally back. There are large-scale deaths in the 4th and 7th buildings. The epidemic area has been a little chaotic recently. Chen Jiati said nervously. Bring Xiao Xiao and Yao Shi to the municipal hospital to get the medicine. Follow this prescription and bring back as much as possible. I'll get Huda and the others to look for you. Go and come back quickly. Guopai handed a prescription that he had prepared to Chen Jiadi. Chen Jiadi, Xiaoxiao and Yaoshi drove the off-road vehicle to the Beijiang Municipal Hospital. Brother Xing, send a few people to the municipal hospital. I'm afraid that the Beijiang Municipal Committee will cause trouble. Get a few reliable brothers to protect Chen Jiadi and the others. They are going to the municipal hospital to get the medicine. Guopai watched Chen Jiadi and the others leave, and then called Xing Tian. Brother, my brothers are reliable. Don't worry, there won't be any more trouble. Xing Tian said loudly. I hope there won't be any more trouble. How many people ran out? Where would they go? Guopao muttered to himself and then dialed Kai Tianyang's number. Chairman Kai, there are people who ran out from Beijiang. They are suspected to be infected. We can basically confirm that they are carrying the epidemic. We can't put them on the wanted list as it will cause panic. We need the country to communicate privately with the local authorities. If they are found, immediately control them, Guopai said softly. Kai Tianyang immediately ordered the local authorities according to Guopai's instructions. The people who ran out were like time bombs that could explode at any time. This was what Guopai was most worried about. About 3 hours later, Chen Jiadi rushed back to the base with a car full of medicine. More than 10 portions had been distributed to the hospital in the city. More than an hour after they arrived, the 6 big men each carried a huge bag and moved back to the base like a small mountain. Take the wrapped things and follow me. Guopai called Chen Jiadi, Chao Qinkuan, and Su Tu, who had already rushed back. They walked straight to the suspected infected area. The 6 people from Tiger University each carried a big pot and followed behind. Guofanyu brought a few girls to quickly organize the medicine. Emperor Jia, go and call the few people who led the group to surround the base the other day. As Guopai spoke, Chen Jiadi went to call them. The 6 people from Tiger University set up 6 big pots under Guopai's command. Some construction waste came into play. Add water and fill them up. Put 3 bags of medicine into 1 pot. There are no earthenware pots, so we can only boil it in a big pot. The effect will be a little worse. However, the source of the evil has been sealed. This kind of medicine is enough. Guopai muttered to himself. The 7 leaders who surrounded the base last time were brought in front of Guopai. Looking at the big pots of medicine boiling, a few of them revealed excited expressions. Organize your people. Line up. Go organize your people and line up. The children and women in front and the men in the back. Everyone has their own utensils. These medicines can be brewed 12 times. The effect will be the same whether you drink them first or later. Don't fight over them. Do this well, and the few of you will be rewarded greatly. Guopai said loudly. The 7 men quickly ran to the gathering place. Then, the whole gathering place boiled with excitement. Boss, the greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. These medicines are effective, right? Chen Jiadi couldn't help but ask softly. In the 2 days when Guopai left, there were too many people who lost their confidence in the first 10 buildings. The mass deaths in the 4th and 7th buildings made Chen Jiadi understand a lot of things. Don't worry. The matters in Beijiang are almost settled. The things we need to worry about now are not here. Chapter 456. While Chen Jiadi and Guopai were talking, one of the 7 leaders walked up to Guopai and handed a small notebook to him. Dr. Guo, this is the list of people who escaped from the back of the mountain that you asked us to compile. This is all the information we can find. Please take a look. I hope they didn't infect anyone else. Now that I think about it, if they did, we'll all be guilty, the man said with his head lowered. I hope they didn't infect anyone else. You can go back first and maintain order. After taking the medicine, clean up your residence. I'll teach you a body training technique later to strengthen your body and help you recover faster, Guopai said softly. 3 days. Although they added 6 cauldrons, It still took them 3 days to make everyone take 3 doses of medicine. Guopai had already given the information of the 18 people recorded in the notebook to Kai Tianyang. In 3 days, they brought back a total of 15 suspected patients who had escaped. There are still 3 people left. I hope nothing bad will happen to them. Guopai hadn't slept for 3 days. The medicine he concocted this time was very effective. The symptoms of the patients who had the earliest symptoms had disappeared, and the suspected patients were emotionally stable. The infected people in the 10 quarantine buildings hadn't died for 3 days. As Guopai said, the matter in Beijiang was about to be resolved. Every time he appeared in the quarantine area, there would be waves of merit power entering his body, making him feel very comfortable. However, the more comfortable it was, the more uneasy Guopai felt that the 3 people who had escaped couldn't be found. 7 days later, the last patient in the later stage of the infection in building number 3 disappeared. At this point, the plague in Beijiang was declared resolved. All the infected people only needed to stay in the quarantine area for a week. As long as they passed the examination at the municipal hospital, they could go home. Of course, the so-called examination at the municipal hospital was actually a simple physical examination done by a few students in Bugyaku. As for the plague in Beijiang, the higher-ups dealt with many people. Li Buxiong, the secretary of the Beijiang Municipal Committee, recovered and continued to be the secretary of the municipal committee. Song Qing, on the other hand, concealed the plague and his crimes were exposed and he was imprisoned. Guopai and the 6 students stayed in Beijiang for another 7 days. On Saturday afternoon, at Beijiang's People's Square, the citizens of Beijiang celebrated their rebirth. Everyone was singing and laughing in the square. The 6 students from Bugyaku were surrounded by the crowd. All kinds of words of thanks rang in their ears. The 6 students from Tiger University were also surrounded by the crowd. At first, they were not used to it, but slowly they became one with the crowd. Their suppressed emotions for nearly a month were finally released today. However, the main character of the day, Guopai, looked as though his soul had left his body. After several failed divinations, Guopai closed his eyes. No one went to disturb Guopai, because even Li Buxiong knew that the miracle doctor who had saved their lives was too tired recently. Dr. Guo, why don't you go back and rest first? I'll get someone to send them to the hotel later. You guys have a good rest and we'll have dinner together tonight. Li Buxiong said softly to Guopai. Guopai nodded lightly and walked down the stage and into the car. Just as Guopai was about to start the car, Guopai's satellite phone rang. Guopai suddenly became alert. An ominous premonition appeared in his mind. Oh no, the thing he was most worried about had happened. Little bad, I'm Kai Tianyang. Something happened. There was a hint of helplessness on the other side of the phone. A suspected infected person was found in Lian City. A person who ran away from Beijiang was found by the local police at Lian City railway station. Yesterday, he was sent to Beijiang. This morning, a police officer in Lian City had a slight headache. He is suspected to be infected with the plague. I got it. I'll go to Lian directly from Beijiang. Don't send the infected person to Beijiang. Just leave him in Lian. If one police officer is infected, it's fine. I'm afraid that it has spread on a large scale. Inform the Lian government to put the whole city on lockdown. Don't let them panic. Tell them about Beijiang. The more panicked they are, the harder it will be to solve the problem. Guopai hung up after he finished speaking. Second brother, check the situation of the Chinese medicine sent to Lian. I want detailed figures. Also, contact Li Dafu and ask the Imperial Capital Police to help investigate if there is a second factory that produces Chinese medicine in the Imperial Capital. If you find it, what should you do? After Guopai finished speaking, he contacted Chen Jiadi and the others. He took the first flight to Lian City on the same day. Beat him to death. A Zheng was infected by him. The few of us might have been infected by the plague too. Beat him to death. In the police station, several police officers were punching and kicking the person called Tang Qian, who ran out of Beijiang. At this time, a stranger entered the police station. If this is how you treat others, I think it's better if you don't save the plague. Guo Pai took off his sunglasses and looked at the police officers as he said, I'm Guo Pai. I just came from Beijiang. You guys line up. I want to check on you. Bugyaku Guo Pai, Dr. Guo? One of the police officers said softly, Dr. Guo, save us. We know it's wrong for us to hit him, but he's really too hateful. It's because of him that the entire Lian has been placed on lockdown. We can't leave or enter. The whole city is in a state of panic. Guo Pai didn't say much. Several police officers had already lined up. Guo Pai walked to Tang Qian's side and helped him to the stool. Then, he took out a small bottle of Chinese medicine from the bag that he had prepared in advance and handed it to Tang Qian. Drink it. You should be fine after drinking it. Guo Pai said softly, You shouldn't have run, but it's not all your fault. You don't have to blame yourself. After drinking it, think about the people you've met from Beijiang to Lian and where you've been. Tang Qian took the Chinese medicine handed by Guo Pai with a face full of shame. After drinking the Chinese medicine, he sat on the stool and began to tell Guo Pai about the places he had been and the people he had met. He also revealed a piece of good news to Guo Pai. Among the people who ran out together, one of them accidentally fell off the cliff. One of them must have died. This meant that in addition to Tang Qian, there was another person. Tang Qian still remembered that there was another person who climbed onto the coal cart with him. He jumped off in Lian, and that person should have gotten off the cart in the city along the road. Go and get him something to eat. You guys take turns to come over. I'll take your pulse, and then inform everyone in your police station to gather in your conference room at 7 o'clock in the evening. I have something to arrange. Guo Pai said to several police officers. A young man ran out to inform the others, and the rest of the police officers began to let Guo Pai take his pulse. You're not infected. Drink this bottle of Chinese medicine. You're infected. Drink this bottle. 7 police officers. Guo Pai took 5 minutes. Things were not too bad. 4 people were infected and 3 were not infected. Then, less than 10 minutes later, a room full of people stood. Let's go to the conference room. The space here is too small. Guo Pai said softly, Who has a mobile phone? Lend it to Tang Qian and let him report to his family that he's safe. Then stay in Lian for a few days. If there's nothing else, return to Beijiang. One of the police officers who began to beat Tang Qian violently handed the mobile phone to Tang Qian. Tang Qian looked at Guo Pai with a look of feeling. It seemed that the news was right. This young man was the fortune of Huaxia, the country's great Dr. Guo Pai. Chapter 457. The situation in the police station was not good. Nearly half of the 50 people had been infected. What was worse was that when Guo Pai asked the police to get the medicine, half of the Chinese medicine did not meet the requirements of Guo Pai. Guo Pai could not help but shake his head. Go to a few more pharmacies and buy these separately. Also, if the pharmacies have Chinese medicine provided by the great doctors, buy some as well, Guo Pai said softly. A group of police officers drove out of the police station again. Fourth brother, because of time and other reasons, Lian City only received 150,000 free Chinese medicine. The 1.3 million will be distributed in the next week, Jia Yuan said softly on the other end of the phone. Is there a second pharmaceutical company that produces the great doctor's medicine in or near the capital? Guo Pai continued to ask. Fourth brother, did Ling Ling tell you everything? Yes, when the great doctors started producing Chinese medicine, there were 2 other pharmaceutical companies in the capital that produced Chinese medicine reagents at the same time. Because we were busy sending out goods all over the country recently, we did not notice. But now the two companies have stopped production and the legal persons of the two companies have been arrested, Jia Yuan said loudly. Damn it, people who make money from the national disaster deserve to die. Guo Pai could not help but shout, second brother, contact a student named Li Yu in Bugyaku, Wu Castle and send someone to his house. The mountain behind his house is full of Chinese medicine. Organize some people who know Chinese medicine to collect the herbs and send them directly to Lian. The sooner the better. That afternoon, Chen Jiadi, Lu Yaosher, and the other 5 students arrived at Lian. The work of distributing the medicine was directly handed over to them. Guo Pai began to observe the surroundings according to Tang Qian's instructions. Huda and the others had also arrived at Lian, but they could not help much now. Aunt, Elder Chiu, and Elder Li did not come. It seems that the rumors are true. As long as people continue to be infected with the plague, the source of evil will slowly grow. Who knows when it will break out of the formation? When that time comes, it will be troublesome. Guo Pai thought to himself. Beijiang was not comparable to Lian. Just in terms of population, Lian City's population was more than 10 times that of Beijiang. If the plague spread on a large scale in Lian, the source of evil would probably reach adulthood very quickly. At that time, whether or not Shi Yunzi could stop it was still uncertain. Boss, the Chinese medicine they brought here does not meet the requirements at all. Also, these bottles of Chinese medicine, I tried one just now. But Guo Pai reached out and crushed the medicine bottle. The group of students could not help but shrink their heads. It had been a long time since they saw their boss so angry. Even when they were in Beijiang, their boss did not throw such a big tantrum. Pick out the Chinese medicine that can be used. I have already contacted second brother. There will be freshly picked herbs sent here soon. I can teach you all how to use fresh herbs. Just wait. There is no use in being anxious now, Guo Pai said softly after he calmed his emotions. Little bad, how's Li and City? Kai Tianyang called Guo Pai in the evening. Guo Pai briefly explained the situation in Lian to Kai Tianyang. If there was no large-scale infection, the matter in Lian City could be settled in about a week. 3 suspected infected people have been found in Yunhua City. If what Tang Qian said is true, then all the people who escaped from Beijiang have been found. However, I am afraid that the situation in Yunhua City is more difficult than that in Lian City. Kai Tianyang's words made Guo Pai frown. Guo Pai naturally knew what Kai Tianyang meant. Yunhua City and Lian City were naturally different. One was a coastal city while the other was an inland city. The biggest problem was that if what Tang Qian said was true, it was impossible for the last person to reach Yunhua City. There was only one possibility to find him in Yunhua City. After the train stopped at the station, this person took other means of transportation and passed through 2 other cities to reach Yunhua City. No one else was infected along the way, so it was still unknown. I understand. After the situation in Lian City stabilizes, I will immediately rush to Yunhua City. The government will be responsible for eliminating the panic of the citizens. As for the lockdown, just temporarily put Yunhua City under lockdown. Guo Pai shook his head and said, putting aside the economic losses for the time being, having such an open and developed coastal city under lockdown would have a great impact on the people of Huaxia. Huaxia has found the source of the infectious plague infection. The White House of the United States has made a decision today to deny all Huaxia citizens visas to the United States. We will temporarily stop all communication with Huaxia until the plague problem in Huaxia has been resolved. At 7:00 in the evening, the international channel reported on the plague in Huaxia. The United States was the first to react, and then a series of more than 10 international countries also reacted in the same way. Stop communicating with Huaxia? Then stop it. When the matter in Huaxia is over, I will have plenty of ways to make you regret it. Guopai looked at the television and said softly. However, he could not care so much at the moment. 83 infected people had been found in Lian City today, and more than 400 people were suspected to be infected. The most troublesome thing for Guopai was that there was no Chinese medicine that could be used to control the current situation. The next morning, at Lian City Central Hospital, a branch hospital that Guopai asked for from Lian City's government sent 13 infected people, and 31 suspected infected people had relapsed. Kai Tianyang called again. 3 suspected infected people in Yunhua City had been confirmed to be infected. Guopai shook his head helplessly. The plague was indeed not as simple as he thought. Mr. Chuanhe, I think that this is an opportunity for us. The doctors in Huaxia have been promoting the extensive and profound medical skills of Huaxia all day long. But now that the plague has appeared, they can't do anything about it. We can send a medical team to Huaxia. If we can control the plague, it will be a slap in the face to Huaxia's medical skills. Huaxia was in a mess. In a medical school in Japan, a few old men sat cross-legged as if they were discussing something. Miyamoto is right. This is an opportunity for us. But what if we can't handle the plague this time? Chuanhe Bunjia said softly. If we can't handle the plague, and Huaxia can't handle it either, we can take advantage of the chaos in Huaxia to challenge Huaxia's traditional Chinese medicine. Didn't Huaxia say that he wanted to take advantage of the situation? Now is the time to kill him while he's down, Miyamoto Taro said loudly. Okay, then let's take a gamble. If we can win against Huaxia in terms of traditional Chinese medicine, it will be of great significance to the development of traditional Chinese medicine in the future. You can choose anyone from the medical school. You must take advantage of this opportunity to ruthlessly suppress Huaxia's arrogance. Chuanhe Bunjiu, the dean of the College of Traditional Chinese Medicine in Japan, said loudly. Huaxia did not know that the Japanese, who had originally suspended all communication with Huaxia, had sent a medical team of 10 people to assist Huaxia in dealing with the plague this time. Boss Liu is here. He brought 3 trucks of traditional Chinese medicine. Don't worry and go to Yunhua. Leave this to us. I guarantee that nothing will happen here. Chen Jiadi said excitedly just after lunch. The last time Guopai came back from Fire Cloud Cave and went to Wu Castle, he did not see Liu. Today, he saw Liu again. It had been more than 2 years since they last met. Boss, I came in time this time, right? Liu was no longer the shy little boy from Takashi University's medical school. Looking at the 3 trucks of traditional Chinese medicine that Liu brought, Guopai could smell the medicinal fragrance from afar. Guopai gave this big boy, who was also his disciple and friend, a big bear hug. I'll leave this to you guys. Chapter 458. Guopai gave a few simple instructions to his students. Due to their experience in making medicine in Beijiang, the students were considered to be talented and intelligent. In about half an hour, they already knew how to use this batch of medicinal herbs. Guopai did not choose any mode of transportation. He immediately rode his sword. This was the fastest way to reach Yunhua. Dad, I'm going to Imperial Capital this month. The whole city is under lockdown now. What happened? My classmates in Imperial Capital are still waiting for me. In a small villa in Yunhua City, a teenager asked his father. You can't go anywhere these days. Just stay at home obediently. Didn't you see the news? A suspected patient of the plague from Beijiang has appeared in Yunhua City. It's safest for you to stay at home now, the middle-aged man said to the teenager. I thought it was something serious. You won't let me go out just because of this small matter? Let me tell you, I've seen the middle-aged man who was infected with the plague in Yunhua City. I even had physical contact with him. I'm perfectly fine now, am I? You adults don't have any medical knowledge at all. If you can get infected with the plague just by coming into contact with it, then Yunhua City will probably be engulfed by the plague sooner or later, the teenager said loudly. The middle-aged man looked at his son and put down his chopstick. He then made a call. Li Feng, I'm Wen Huaqiang. Xiao Yun came into contact with the infected person who ran out from Beijiang. He's at home now, and we all had physical contact with him. Ask the people from the city hospital to come to our house and give us a comprehensive examination. If there's a problem, we'll all go to the quarantine area for observation. Wen Huaqiang, the mayor of Yunhua City, immediately called his secretary. Dad, are you crazy? I'm not going to the quarantine area. If I go there, even if I'm not infected with the plague, I'll still die there. I want to go to Imperial Capital, Wen Yun shouted. Stay in your room. You can't leave your room before the results are out. I'm telling you, think carefully about who else you've been in contact with after that person. Write down all the people you've been in contact with in the past 2 days. Brat, you're in big trouble, Wen Huaqiang said loudly. After a suspected infected person appeared in Yunhua, a small announcement would be broadcasted on Yunhua's local news every day. There was a picture of the person who ran to Yunhua from the northern borderline. It was hoped that for the safety of the citizens of Yunhua City, the citizens of Yunhua City who had come into contact with that person would go to the designated area in Yunhua City for a checkup. More than 10 people had already gone for a checkup, and they were temporarily staying in the quarantine area. At this time, Wen Yun saw his father's expression and immediately became nervous. Only now did he know that he had made a big mistake. Dad, I'll tell you everything. Wen Yun said nervously, that day I went to the train station to pick up a classmate. I met that person at the train station. At that time, I thought he was a normal person. He said that he was robbed when he just arrived in Yunhua, and he lost all his money. I gave him 200 RMB, and he shook my hand. After that, I picked up my classmate and we went to Ilong KTV. We even met a lot of people. Wen Huaqiang shook his head helplessly. He had neglected to discipline his children in the past few years. His eldest daughter was now abroad and had nothing to do, but his youngest son was now in his 3rd year of high school, and he was always outside. He did not expect that the plague had something to do with him. The father and son chatted for a while. Then, Wen Huaqiang made a few phone calls. The few people who had been in contact with Wen Yun were immediately put under control. Ilong KTV was also temporarily closed for rectification. The news that the mayor was suspected of being infected with the plague had also quietly spread in Yunhua City. The atmosphere in Yunhua City suddenly became a little tense. Let's land in school first. Guopai flew above the clouds on his sword. Almost an hour later, he was already above Yunhua City. He directly landed on the top floor of the tallest building in Yunhua City No. 1 High School. 2 high school students who were smoking were so scared that they did not even feel the cigarette but burning their fingers. The others had their backs facing Guopai. Otherwise, there would be more people who were scared. You've been bad since you were young. What are you going to do when you grow up? What are you looking at? Haven't you seen a god before? After Guopai finished speaking, he disappeared in front of the teenagers. Qin Feng, hit me. That person just now, I felt like he came from the sky, right? A teenager came back to his senses and said loudly. Slap, slap, slap. Brotherly, it's true. It really seems like it's true. Does it hurt? I saw that he was stepping on a long sword. That seems to be the legendary sword flight, young Master Qin said softly. Master, I want to acknowledge him as my master. The 2 teenagers shouted at the same time. As they spoke, they directly ran downstairs. However, Guopai had already disappeared. The other teenagers on the rooftop, who did not see Guopai, were completely stunned. What are these 2 brothers doing? They were fine just now. Are they infected by the plague? I'm looking for the person in charge of Yunhua City. After Guo Pai walked into the municipal office building, he said these words like a bandit. A fresh graduate at the reception desk looked at the teenager who was younger than her in surprise. However, she did not pay attention to Guo Pai. The situation in Yunhua City was not very good at the moment. She did not want to make mistakes at this critical juncture during her internship. Stop. Who are you looking for? I'll register for you first. Then, I'll call you to inform him, Zhao Mingyu said loudly. Then, she quickly stopped Guo Pai. Tell the secretary of your municipal committee that Kai Tianyang asked him to come and see me. I'll wait for him here. Take this with you so that you won't get scolded, Guo Pai said and threw the Dragon King's token to Zhao Mingyu. Handsome, are you kidding? Are you going to see Secretary Chu just because you have a big token? Who are you? There's a plague in Yunhua City now. The leaders are having a meeting. Can you stop causing trouble? Zhao Mingyu weighed the token in her hand and said loudly. Little Yu, call Secretary Chen and tell him that Japan has sent a medical team to Yunhua City to help solve the plague problem. Tell him to inform Secretary Chu. They'll be here in about 10 minutes. A middle-aged man walked up to Zhao Mingyu and said, Director Zhang, this person wants to see Secretary Chu. Can you let him in? Zhao Mingyu said softly. Nonsense. We're in a special period now. What's going on at the gate? How can we let a stranger enter our municipal committee building? I'll call the guards and ask them to take him away. You go and inform Secretary Chen and ask him to inform Secretary Chu. The middle-aged man who was addressed as Director Zhang by Zhao Mingyu glanced at Guo Pai and felt that he looked familiar. However, he still dialed the number of the guards. Director Zhang, this thing belongs to him. Take it first. I'll go up and inform Secretary Chen. Zhao Mingyu said and threw the Dragon King's token to Director Zhang. Little Yu, you said that this thing belongs to this young man? Director Zhang said with a trembling voice. Zhao Mingyu nodded doubtfully. This thing belonged to him. He threw it to her just now. There was nothing wrong with it. You must be Club Master Guo Pai. Please wait for a moment. I'll go and inform Secretary Chu immediately. Little Yu, please receive Club Master Guo first. I'll go and look for Secretary Chu. Director Zhang ran upstairs quickly as he said that. What about the Japanese medical team? Director Zhang. Zhao Mingyu shouted. However, Director Zhang ran upstairs to the meeting room without turning his head. Japanese medical team? Looks like I'll have to go out more after I'm done with my work in Huaxia. How dare a country as small as a bird's egg come and cause trouble in Huaxia? They're really reckless. Chapter 459. Guo Pai and Zhao Mingyu had barely exchanged a few words when they heard a commotion upstairs. A square-faced man walked into the hall with more than 10 people behind him. Dr. Guo, you're finally here. Please save Yunhua. The square-faced man grabbed Guo Pai's hand and said excitedly. Chu Yi. Guo Pai looked at the man in front of him and asked softly. Yes, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Chu Yi, the secretary of Yunhua City's municipal committee. Let's talk inside, Chu Yi said and gestured for them to enter. Guo Pai did not stand on ceremony and walked up the stairs first. Little Yu, inform the leaders of the Health Bureau and a few other bureaus who had a meeting yesterday to come to the conference room. You don't have to inform Mayor Wen first. Zhao Mingyu nodded. This man who looked younger than her was the hospital owner of Bugyaku, Guo Pai. I actually stopped Guo Pai. As she thought about it, Zhao Mingyu's face turned red. She could not help but feel a little happy. Then, she quickly contacted the relevant personnel according to Chu Yi's instructions. Guo Pai had just sat down in the conference room when a group of leaders from various departments in Yunhua who were related to the epidemic walked in one after another. All of them looked very serious. It seemed that the epidemic had caused them a lot of trouble recently. This is the hospital owner of Bugyaku, Dr. Guopai. The epidemic in Beijiang has basically been resolved with Dr. Guo's help. I received a call from Chairman Kai yesterday, saying that Dr. Guo would be here today. I didn't expect him to be here so early. Everyone, let's welcome Dr. Guo, Chui said loudly. The audience applauded. Although Guopai was very young, the incident of the epidemic in Beijiang was later reported on the Central News. One of the videos was of Guopai, so everyone was not unfamiliar with Guopai. Let's get to the point. I want to know the current situation in Yunhua City. I hope one of you can tell me. I want to be precise. Guopai waved his hand and said softly. Chu-yi nodded and glanced at the director of the health bureau. Then, a middle-aged man stood up. However, before he could speak, the door of the meeting room opened. Zhao Mingyu stood at the door with a helpless expression. Xiaoyu, what's the matter? Why are you so flustered? We're in the middle of a meeting. Chu-yi said loudly. Zhao Xiaoyu was the granddaughter of his former teacher. She passed the exam and entered the publicity department of the municipal party committee. She helped the municipal party committee temporarily. Chu-yi took good care of her. However, at this juncture, Chu-yi could not help but shout. Secretary Chu, the Japanese medical team is outside. They want to see you. They said that they're here because of the epidemic in Yunhua City. What do you think we should do? Zhao Mingyu said with a tinge of grievance. The leaders were in a meeting, so she naturally couldn't act on her own. She could only report to them. Since they're here to help, let them in. I'd like to see what tricks these Japanese have up their sleeves during the plague in Huaxia. Chu-yi didn't say anything. Guopai, who was beside him, said softly. Zhao Mingyu stared at Guopai with her eyes wide open and then looked at Chu-yi. Just do as Dr. Guo says. Let them in. After Chu-yi finished speaking, he turned his head and looked at Guopai. We didn't know about the Japanese beforehand. Dr. Guo, please don't take offense. I know. Director Zhang just received the letter and didn't have the time to tell you. Just let the Japanese come. If they're really here to help, then it's fine. I happen to be short of helpers here. But if they're here to cause trouble, then I won't be polite to them, Guopai said with narrowed eyes. At this time, 10 Japanese people, 7 men and 3 women, walked into the meeting room. Is this how you Huaxia people treat your guests? The leader of the Japanese looked at the people on the rostrum and asked loudly in fluent Huaxia. We came here from Japan to help you solve the plague problem, and you treat us like this. No one came to pick us up when we arrived at the port. No one cared about us when we went to the municipal party committee. If we knew this, we wouldn't have come. You can leave if you don't want to come. It seems that you came to visit Huaxia on your own. Guopai narrowed his eyes and said, If you want to help, then find a place to sit down. I'm talking to you. What are you looking at? Can't you understand my words? I'm Guopai from Bugyaku. We're all doctors. This time we have the same purpose. I hope we can cooperate to solve the plague. Guopai. This young man was Guopai. The group of Japanese people, whether they understood Chinese or not, all looked at Guopai. Guopai himself didn't know that his name was very famous in the Japanese traditional Chinese medicine circle. The news that the Japanese people spent $1.8 billion on a snow mussel pill had already spread in the Japanese traditional Chinese medicine circle. Seeing him today, they didn't expect him to be so young, just like the rumors said. Sit down. When the Huaxia people finish talking, we'll have a good talk with this Guopai. The leader of the Japanese people sat in a row of chairs at the back and spoke softly to the others in Japanese. Tell me about the situation in Yunhua City, Guopai said softly to the director of the sanitary bureau. As of this morning, 56 people have been confirmed to be infected with the plague in Yunhua City. 317 people are suspected to be infected, and 1,145 people have been quarantined. These people have been separated and quarantined. However, I just received a call from Mayor One. His son came in contact with infected people in Beijing. It's hard to calculate the exact number of infected people now, Director Pang of the Sanitary Bureau said softly. Guo Shuai nodded, and his eyes fell on the Japanese people again. I've already developed the medicine to treat the plague. If you want the formula, I can give it to you. If you have other methods, you can come in contact with the patients personally and treat them according to your methods. But I have to tell you one thing. If you dare to use the medicine recklessly, I can't guarantee that you'll be able to leave Huaxia alive. Guo Pai said loudly. A group of people, including Chu Yi, who had been in the officialdom for several years, were stunned by Guo Pai's imposing manner. They had also come in contact with foreigners, but their attitude towards foreigners was generally more friendly. They didn't expect that the dojo master Guo Pai in Bugyaku would treat them with such an attitude. It was very satisfying. A few Japanese people who could understand Huaxia's language had ugly expressions on their faces. The leader of the Japanese people didn't say anything. His gaze fell on a rather good-looking Japanese woman in the group. I'm a doctor from the Sakura Association. We came to Huaxia this time purely to support Huaxia in solving the plague. Since Dojo Master Guo Pai has already formulated a special medicine, we hope that Dojo Master Guo can let us take a look at the prescription. We can help, the Japanese woman said softly in Huaxia's language. Guo Pai nodded gently. Cooperate best. If you dare to play any tricks, I don't care whether you're a woman or not, and a Japanese woman at that. Guo Pai then said a few more words to Chu Yi. Guo Pai walked out of the Municipal Party Committee building. According to Guo Pai's request, he set up a temporary office in a place in Yunhua City that was waiting to be developed. He also gathered many Chinese medicine practitioners in Yunhua City to help here. Although Yunhua City was a coastal city, the quality of the Chinese medicine in the pharmacies was much better than that in Lian City. They helped Guo Pai solve a lot of problems. Thank you for your hard work. Once the plague in Yunhua City is solved, I'll treat everyone to a good meal. But now everyone has to work harder. The more Chinese medicine we decoct, the easier it will be to solve the problem in Yunhua City, Guo Pai said softly to the group of Chinese medicine practitioners who were busy. Dojo Master Guo Pai, you're being too polite. We're locals of Yunhua City. You came all the way here to help us. We should be the ones thanking you. Besides, you've really made Chinese medicine proud this time, an old Chinese medicine practitioner who was over 60 years old said loudly. The group of people around him nodded. Miss Mina, how feasible is the prescription given by Huaxia to treat the plague? A Japanese doctor asked the female doctor softly. That Guo Pai is a real doctor. Putting aside the fact that he's from a different country, I think he's the best doctor I've ever seen. Chapter 460. As soon as the Japanese woman's voice fell, the group of Japanese doctors widened their eyes. Yoshikawa Mina was known as the genius of Japanese traditional Chinese medicine. She was an outstanding traditional Chinese medicine practitioner in this century, but now Mina's evaluation of Guo Pai was that he was the best doctor. How could the Japanese traditional Chinese medicine practitioners not be surprised? Miss Mina, what should we do now? An old Japanese man asked softly. Help the people of Huaxia distribute and decoct the medicine. Let's deal with the plague first. I don't have the confidence to win against this Guo Pai in terms of medical skills. I want to observe him for the next few days, then challenge him after the plague is over, Yoshikawa Mina said softly. Yoshikawa Mina said softly. The few elders nodded their heads. However, Mina didn't notice that the leader of the Japanese group had a trace of coldness in his eyes. Dr. Guo, for more people have been diagnosed with the plague. Guo Pai was in a temporary tent. Every day, someone would report to Guopai about the situation in Yunhua. Basically, every day there would be suspected patients who were diagnosed with the plague, and they would take away their traditional Chinese medicine. It seemed that things were developing in the direction that everyone expected, but Guopai could not be happy because the plague had been going on for nearly a month. It was very likely that a more serious problem would arise: mutation. If the plague mutated, the special medicine that he developed could no longer be taken. Under the joint efforts of several students, the plague had been suppressed in Li'an City. The oral medicine given by great doctors had also been fully distributed to Li'an City. 4 out of the 7 students remained in Li'an for observation for a week. Chen Jiadi, Chao Qinkuan, and Li Yu had already rushed to Yunhua City. "Little Bad, it's your aunt." At 8 o'clock in the evening, Guopai suddenly received a call. Guo Fanyu was still in Beijiang. The call at this time made Guopai's heart tighten. "Aunt, something happened in Beijiang?" Guopai asked softly into the phone. "Senior Shui wants me to tell you that the aura of the origin of evil has become much stronger recently. The situation outside is not what you think it is. There will be an even bigger epidemic within the 3 of you. He wants you to be prepared to resist the epidemic. If necessary, try to contact the Heavenly Court. They won't just sit by and do nothing," Guo Fanyu said softly. Guopai nodded. After chatting with Guo Fanyu for a while, he became even more restless. He already knew that the plague couldn't be solved so easily, but if even Shui Yunzi wanted the Heavenly Court to intervene, this matter would be very troublesome. Is everything all right in the capital?" Guopai called Bugyaku and told everyone about his situation. Then, he let Yu answer the phone. "The capital is fine, but I've been feeling uneasy recently." "Big brother bad guy, is something going to happen?" Yu asked softly. "The plague seems to have been solved very well, but Shui Yunzi said that the aura of the origin of evil has become much stronger recently. Something more serious will happen in the future. He wants me to contact the Heavenly Court if necessary," Guopai said softly. He didn't hide anything from Yu. "It seems that the great merit isn't so easy to obtain," Yu said softly. "Ahem, my good wife, you're still thinking about merit. I'm worried about you. You're feeling uneasy now. I'm afraid that, if the Heavenly Court comes, they'll find out that you came down to the lower realm without permission. At that time, the crime won't be light," Guopai said softly. Yu was delighted. This mind-reading true monarch really knows how to coax girls. "You don't have to worry about my affairs. Since my sister asked me to come down, no one in the Heavenly Court will dare to interfere. However, big brother bad guy, are you really willing to give the great merit to others?" Yu asked with a smile. Guopai couldn't help but shake his head. Yes, he was cultivating in the human world. With the current spiritual energy in the human world, it was impossible to ascend without some special opportunities. His yin-yang twin life jade was used to seal the origin of evil. If this merit still didn't belong to him, he would really suffer a great loss this time. "Dr. Guo, I'm Mina. May I come in?" Just when Guopai and Yu were talking on the phone, Yoshikawa Mina knocked on Guopai's door. Yu heard it clearly on the other side of the phone. "Humph, big bad guy, I thought you were busy. I didn't expect you to hook up with another woman outside. Her voice is quite sweet. Is it that Japanese woman? I heard from Emperor Jia and the others that a very good-looking woman came to the Japanese medical team," Yu shouted on the other side of the phone. "Yu, it's not like what you think. Listen to my explanation." Hey. Guopai wanted to say something, but Yu had already hung up the phone. Guopai shook his head helplessly. However, he still got up and opened the door for Yoshikawa Mina. If this Japanese woman was seen by Chen Jiadi and the others, who knew what they would say? "Master Guopai, it's so late. Sorry to disturb you," Yoshikawa Mina said softly and bowed deeply to Guopai at a 90-degree angle. I don't know what's the matter, Miss Mina. Thank you for your help in the past few days. Otherwise, things in Yunhua wouldn't have gone so smoothly. I'll tell the higher-ups about Miss Mina and your medical team's contributions to Huaxia. When the time comes, they might give Miss Mina an honorary citizen of Huaxia, Guo Pai said with a smile. Master Guo, you can just call me Mina. I've heard of your medical skills in Japan. This time, I came to Huaxia for two purposes. Motherf * King Japan, if you guys want to cause trouble at this juncture, I don't mind teaching you a good lesson. After Guo Pai finished speaking, he went straight to the quarantine area of Yunhua City. There were not many people there now. Guo Pai checked everyone's pulse. The plague mutation should not happen in Yunhua City. The next morning, Yunhua City received a group of special guests. People from the capital and Wu Castle from Bugyaku gathered in Yunhua City. Chu Yi personally received these people. At that time, Chu Yi only said one sentence: Huaxia is lucky to have such a doctor in Huaxia. Boss, when you went to Wu Castle last time, I went out to practice medicine. We haven't seen each other for 2 years. During these 2 years, I didn't peep at you. I'm always open to you, Pei Yulong from Bugyaku from Wu Castle said with a smile. The others nodded one after another. Guo Pai waved his hand in satisfaction. You guys are the first batch of Bugyaku students that I selected. I'm very satisfied with your performance in the past 2 years. I'm proud of all of you, Guo Pai said loudly. After Guo Pai finished speaking, the faces of the group of students around him were filled with a unique kind of pride. They indeed had the right to be proud. After 2 years of training, they had already made a name for themselves in the field of Chinese medicine. They were even comparable to some old Chinese medicine doctors. Even the president of the Chinese Medicine Association, Lin Chongtian, had a very high opinion of this group of students. Today, I called all of you to Yunhua City not for a vacation or a small gathering. This time, I called all of you here for a big battle, a battle that concerns the life and death of Huaxia, Guo Pai said loudly. The group of Bugyaku students widened their eyes. Chen Jiadi and a few others had participated in the incident in Beijiang and Lian, so they more or less knew about the plague. The others only knew about the plague through news reports. However, even Chen Jiadi and a few others did not expect that the big event that Guo Pai mentioned would actually concern the life and death of Huaxia. Moreover, they would become the group of people who would be in charge of Huaxia's life and death. From today onwards, all of us will be in the base. I'll tell all of you about the plague. I hope that all of you will listen and ask more questions because once the plague breaks out on a large scale, each of you will have to take responsibility alone. I hope that all of you can be like me and solve all the problems in the epidemic area, Guo Pai said loudly. All the students nodded one after another. Master Guo, can I listen in during your lecture? After dinner, Guo Pai was about to give a lecture to a group of students. Yoshikawa Mina walked up to Guo Pai and asked softly, If you want to listen, you can find a place at the side. If you have any questions, you can also raise them. The plague this time concerns the life and death of Huaxia. If you're willing to help Huaxia this time, I, Guo Pai, will owe you this favor, Guo Pai said softly. Guo Pai knew very well about Yoshikawa Mina's medical skills. Compared to a few outstanding students, she was not inferior to Guo Pai's medical skills. Yoshikawa Mina nodded gently. When Guo Pai appeared in front of a group of students, Yoshikawa Mina found a secluded place and sat down. The most powerful part of the plague is that it's highly contagious. Just like the plague in Beijiang, tens of thousands of people were infected in a very short period of time. The mutation of the plague this time will also be highly contagious. It might even surpass the original plague, Guopai said softly. It's impossible to completely eliminate the plague during its peak period. There's only one way during the peak period of the plague, and that's to slow down the spread of the plague. There's only one way, and that's to effectively isolate the plague. Physical isolation is a good method, but I'm going to teach you a different method now, and that is to isolate the plague itself. Guopai taught the new method to a group of students. Everyone, including Yoshikawa Mina, stared with their eyes wide open. Boss, you're right, aren't you? Using the suspected infected people to form a line of defense. Is this also possible? Wouldn't this speed up the outbreak of the suspected infected people? Chen Jiadi asked softly. Is that what Dojo Master Guo means? It's like putting out a fire in the grassland, using fire to form a circle and let the healthy people stay inside. This way we can preserve the last hope, Yoshikawa Mina said softly. Guopai nodded. This Japanese woman was indeed a genius in the field of traditional Chinese medicine. She had thoroughly understood the few questions he had asked earlier. What other methods do you know to deal with the plague? You can tell them. Guopai spoke for almost an hour. Everyone who listened to Guopai's lecture learned a lot. At this time, Guopai looked at who had accompanied the Bugyaku students here. You've already explained it thoroughly. If there are other methods, I'd like to talk about the problem of time. Said softly, the control period of the plague is different at different times. You can let the patients or suspected patients take the medicine at night. This will allow you to know if the Chinese medicine is effective against the plague. I won't say anything else. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.